Took me a second. Sup, everybody? This is Karak with ACG, and I'm here with Abzi for Podcast 431, the best gaming podcast. We're going to break down GTA. We're going to talk about Avatar, Rogue Trader, Bungie, Sony. I'll add Microsoft, even though it's not on the docket, just because at some point we'll talk about Microsoft. I'm absolutely sure.
Yeah, probably, right?
Yeah, it'll just pop up. But thank you, everybody, for showing up. If you noticed a slightly unique way in which alerts were going out, it's because I'm trying to mess with this and figure out how is the best way to get the data that we're going live to the most people, but at the same time to not crush subscribers in a subscriber glut where they get a bunch of posts about the podcast. Because if they don't watch the podcast, then it hurts the channel. I haven't been able to figure it out. Talking to some streamers who are doing that and trying to get it all sort of situated and figured out. Will we talk about twerking? Yes, we will. I'm here for the twerking. Oregon Fresh
says. Ass physics, man. Rockstar knows their shit. Their designers are on point, dude. God damn.
Gang. Like lighting matters, like we talked about, more than res sometimes. I think animations do, and that's one thing I want to talk about. And
for sure,
also some solidifying of expectations, which has already pissed off people that I talk to. But I'm just like, it's time to, guarantee you're prepared for what you're going to get.
Yeah, I know
there's
exactly what you're talking about.
A lot of weird things that occur.
A lot of cope.
Yeah, there's a lot of... I saw some people posting stuff on a Twitter that I posted, and I was like, I have no clue what world this person lives in, but it's an unfortunate one. Like, it's... Instead,
8K.
Probably 240, 240
FPS,
8K.
120 FPS, 8K, easy, you know what I mean?
Xbox original, and you're just like, damn, son. So thank you, everybody, for showing up. Thanks to Abzi, as always, for jumping into the Wednesday podcast. I know that it's sort of a day of his that I'm taking a little bit, but I appreciate it because we go for 4 hours, I think. Almost 4 hours. So
yeah, man.
Definitely not a short one. We have some questions from people, and I'm going to get through a couple of those really quick so we can just start. Jesse T says, cut me a game trailer for TV, a game and music track. So I believe they're asking if we were to make a trailer for a game, what would we do? Like Gears of War did Mad World. Twerking. It would all be twerking now. Right now, that would probably work. But
that's a good question.
I mean, and then you got what's his name doing Tom Petty in the GTA one. Which
sometimes you might find this very, very dumb. But sometimes when I'm driving around and I'm listening to some of my music, I get into the state where each song that happens, I imagine like a game trailer of like a game I made, and this is the trailer, and the trailer is happening with the music.
That's montage thinking. I don't think that's dumb. I think that that's like 80% of how I live and think of stuff. So is there a game that like you love or you would want to see? Okay, how about this? What if the trailer showed up and the game you've always wanted gets announced? What would be the music with that trailer?
The game I've always wanted. What's a game I've always wanted that hasn't been announced?
Bloodborne 2.
Nah. I know a lot of people want that, but I don't know.
As a thousand,
sorry guys,
a thousand younglings suddenly cried out in terror.
I'm so sorry. I love Bloodborne's awesome. It's just, but what is something crazy that I would want that's not announced? Let's say like God, it's a hard thing to think about, man. There's been a lot of really good games that I've wanted for a long time coming out, and Stalker 2 is like the next big thing. Obviously, GTA is like everyone's next big thing, but like for the close future or like the other next big thing, I'm super looking forward to is Stalker 2. So that's like all I can think about.
Is what's been announced and what's out.
Dude,
some people in here are talking about Master of Puppets for every game ever created, especially games like Pikmin. Master of Puppets. Just Pikmin running around. Hey, it might work. Who knows? What were you going to say?
You know what game had amazing trailers with like really sick music was Atomic Heart. Like 2 or 3 years before its release, I was just watching that shit over and over. They did like a really, really cool blend of like this old Russian music with new electronic stuff, which was really cool.
Yeah, definitely. That was, I mean, it was ahead of its time. So I guess we'll come back to that answer, Jesse. You are the first one to stump us when it comes to questions. Zelda Breath of the Wild Can you discuss the leaks about the award show, in particular those around Arcane?
Oh,
my data's out
Dishonored
there.
3?
Go out and find it. Go out and find it. I've posted my thoughts, and I'm sure you can find them if you look. Prednisone God. Karak, you were talking about science in the last podcast. I love the new discussion on simulation theory, but why does it interest you? Do you think we live in one?
Are you interested in simulation theory? Have I heard you talk about it?
Well, we talked about it on the last podcast. I would say I'm very interested in it, but it's not going to matter. Like, I'm reading a book on it right now. It's like, if you find out you're in a simulation, there's nothing you can do about it. What are you going to do? Hack your way out? It's not like the Matrix,
right?
You know?
Yeah, it's just
So
maybe you'd be more daring. You'd do stupid shit.
No, because it still hurt. Simulation's really good at doing pain. I found that out.
True.
So it's like, if simulation has programmed in constipation, it can program in a broken bone.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like,
what is that? Why is that a thing, right?
Yeah, like the old saying, if we were based after God, if we were built after God, why do we bite the inside of our mouths?
Right.
And that is one of the best explanations for why that might not be true. Is like, why would God ever say, I've made you in my image, bite the inside of your mouth, or bite your tongue? Or burn the top of your mouth when you're eating a Pop-Tart. Or not a Pop-Tart, but a pizza roll.
The burning on the roof of your mouth is the worst, dude.
It's terrible. It's terrible. Let's see, what else do we got? Pair 3-4-DF. Karak, what are you reading? I'm reading David Kipping, I believe, a scientist who covers light speed. And he's talking about light speed and spaceships. And when a ship goes as faster than light, it basically becomes a collector for radiation and power and energy. And when it lands, when it stops, it would vaporize the solar system that it landed in. And they're actually saying that that's actually one of the so basically it collects this energy, all of this pent-up energy. And he did a really good thing on the Halo Drive, and Halo Drive was awesome, but he talks about all this stuff, and he says what the problem is this thing, that would be the best way to destroy an enemy, would be to travel and then land on the outside, like where Jupiter is. Stop
land right out of FTL?
You would,
like
right out of FTL, and all the radiation comes off of the ship and ejects into that space and would destroy that solar system.
Would FTL not be possible at all?
He says it's not. He says it's not possible, and dude. I don't know if you've seen him, crew cut, black hair, curly, and talks like this. And we're gonna do, and he's so nice when he deballs every hope you ever had of the future. So it'll be like, I don't want to say space travel's not possible, but, and then he has these, and I thought he was an influencer, the honest truth, because he's young looking. Mm-hmm. And then I looked him up a couple years ago, and it's just papers. Like he's just, and you're all, and then he was on Lex, and
this guy's
he made
legit.
Lex look really dumb. Yeah, he was incredible. But I love that kind of stuff. That's. Are you reading anything?
Not really. No. Am I reading anything? No, not really. Articles and shit.
Yeah, it's sort of easy to bounce around one week, then dive into something deep the next. That kind of stuff. Speaking of diving deep, we're just going to dive straight into this. We're going to talk about GTA's trailer. GTA 6's trailer released early with a big Bitcoin symbol on the front. Not 100% sure why that was there. Maybe because they were hoping they'd get past the screener, or maybe they wanted people to buy Bitcoin. Like I was confused why the person put a big Bitcoin stamp on there. But it got out, and then an hour later or 2 hours later, Rockstar's like, we're big enough. Fuck you. We're going to release it on our own. They released it a day early.
The record for the most views in under 24 hours for a non-music video.
For non-music. So I'm assuming just by saying the term music, we mean Taylor Swift.
Sure.
Right.
Or the Indian company that puts music up on that.
It could be, but I just feel that Taylor Swift has hacked the universe, man.
Probably,
like people will be like,
you know what's
she's
weird?
chosen these shoes, and it gets 10 million subscribers. So go ahead.
Yeah, it's weird that everyone says I don't listen to Taylor Swift, and then it's like, yo, where do all these views and shit come from? You know what I mean?
Oh, I've listened. She's got a couple of jammers. Like I have no issue.
Yeah,
whatever.
Never heard
like
a Taylor Swift song. Do you believe that?
You say that, but I don't believe you, because
Probably.
what happens is you'll be it won't be music like the shit you hear in an elevator. You know, the fake
Right.
song, like you hear "Pour Some Sugar on Me" without the words, and you'd be like,
Royalty
"That sounds."
free.
Yeah, I do believe you've probably heard one just because.
Probably.
You know,
in a mall or something.
It's in a mall or in a movie, because that's why when I saw somebody say, "I've never heard." What was it? One of the songs by Megadeth or Metallica. And I was like, I just don't think that's possible. Just because watching a movie, in the last 20 years, there's a high chance that'll be playing in the background. So it's just one of those things. But what do you think when you saw it? So it's less than 2 minutes long. You're watching it for the first time.
What do I think? Just a general.
What do you think? Yeah, we're going to break it down very detailed in a second. But first, what did you think?
What? Okay, my reaction. I guess I woke up to go to work, and I got like thousands of well, not thousands, but like fucking 10 DMs or something on Discord, and it's my friend spamming me. He's like, "Yo, bro," and then because we were talking the day before, and we're like, "When's it coming out?" Like, next day, 5 p.m. And I wake up to it, and I look at it, and I'm like half asleep. I'm like, "Oh shit!" And I go back to bed, and then I wake up again, and I watch it again, and I look at it more closely. And I was like, because so Rockstar doesn't show cutscenes, like, well, it does show cutscenes, but everything you see, like when they show the cities, at least historically in their games, they show like what you're going to see in the game. It's as if like, let's take like a camera mod and like move it around the city, right, while we're in game or something like that. You could think of it that way. So when I was just looking at like two scenes stood out to me, like most of all is like the beach scene, and I was looking how every single NPC was like super diverse looking, completely different, architecture, and they're doing completely different things, completely dynamic. And the other one with the downtown with the Ocean View Hotel, the one where you slept at in the beginning of the Vice City in the old game,
right?
And just seeing people walk out of the car, like drunk people walking by, like just like all these different things happening on screen all at once. I was like, wow, we're here with GTA, because Rockstar was like that, but in a very, very, very smaller scope, because obviously, it was mostly wild land and way less population. So seeing that just stunned me, and it was like I was expecting it to be there, and it was there, and but like the expectation wasn't like I wasn't surprised. I was still surprised, because I was like, holy shit, you know what I mean? Like that's insanely cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I came away with it. It had a big Bitcoin, because I saw the pirated one first, and it was Bitcoin, and I thought there were some scenes interspersed that were real, because they were using the fake Twitter posts and fake Instagram stuff. And so when I would see those occasionally, if I was far away, and I was watching on Twitter, so it's only that big, and I was like, oh, that's odd they've chosen to do that. Then the real one came out, and I got to see it for the first time, and the first thing I pulled away from it was that the reason why I thought some of it was real was not graphic intensity or resolution or even lighting. It was the animation. The animation fooled me a couple times when I was pulled away. The motorbikes, the girl coming up and dropping the fucking hang loose or whatever that is.
With the hair.
That was ridiculous. Like, and when I was far away from it, when I first saw it, I legitimately was like, oh, they've taken... because you're looking around like this
real
big
clips.
thing. Yeah, and then once I jumped in, that is what I took away from it, was that their animation is beyond on point. It's beyond. Yeah. And there's an animator who did a breakdown of this. Not a breakdown, a react, that used to work for Rockstar. And he claims, and I do not disagree, he claims that is generally what we'll see. And one of the things I want to point out to condense the conversation is that, do I believe that is what we will see and that's the way the game will look? Yes. Do I believe that is what we will be playing? No. There is a difference. In the same sense that with GTA 5, when they showed the trailer, those were the opening credits and cutscenes that we saw in the first trailer. I believe a lot of this is the flash at the starting of the game. The Rockstar presents, and this is the kind of stuff we will see. I think that when you look at it, a lot of it will look like that, but what we'll start to see is most likely, if they're still aiming for the S and the X and the PlayStation 5, we'll start to see probably a curbing down of some of the NPCs on screen during live. So that is for sure what it looks like in those moments. I mean, that is what it looks like. That's fine. And you can tell because it's not 4K. I don't know what it is. I'm at Pixel Peep, but it's definitely not 4K. Like, just looking at the screen, you can tell that's dynamic resolution of some kind, 1080p, 1440p. So it's not something that they've rendered. There's errors in multiple places we'll talk about. I mean, the first one was one of the best moments was the girl spinning around to take the picture. All of her jewelry moves wrong. And I was like, oh, okay, so we know that wasn't like touched up. Those kind of things weren't touched up. But what can be touched up is turning off AI in the world around you behind the camera to get as many NPCs on screen, which I don't have an issue with. We'll talk about all the tech stuff. But I do want to say that overall, that is what we'll be seeing. And dude, their animation sells it in every way, shape, or form. The animation was so on point that it actually is almost aggravating in a weird way, because I feel like when that comes out, man, other devs are going to look at that and be like, oh no. And gamers, we try to pretend we care about games, but looks matter. And I could see somebody looking at that and being like, oh, well, this other game doesn't handle this hair moving perfectly and stuff. You know what I mean? Like, they're raising the bar to a point that is ridiculous. I mean, the animation is ridiculous.
It's very interesting because that's totally true, because if you take like a still image, I mean, the graphics still look amazing. You can look at the picture and it's still beautiful, but it's not that photoreal. It's very stylized.
Right, it's
like a GTA style.
It is a style, yeah.
Right, they have their own style and stuff, but when you see it all put together with just how precise the animations are with like the movements and the hair and everything, it's just it makes it way realer than it would otherwise.
Yeah, and what's crazy that I saw almost, and so I've already DM'd John from Digital Foundry to ask him to look at something. I did see one or two parts of this trailer that looked very weird compared to others. We'll talk about that in a second, but yeah, I know that they've done one, and I'm gonna go watch it. So I'm just gonna say what I think and then go watch it and see if I'm right, because most likely they did pixel count and they did do that. That's just Digital Foundry. That's probably what they did. But there's a couple things I noticed that were pretty insane, and I took some notes here. The first one was the beach scene. So the beach scene, when they're standing there and that people are coming towards them, if you notice, there's a bunch of people on the far right, and they're sort of not right in where they are. And I was like, okay, that indicates this is real. They're not perfectly where they're supposed to be. They look like maybe they've clipped onto something, or the game generalizes their height from far away. But I also noticed in that one in particular, other than the helicopters, all traffic and movement is turned off. If you look, nothing's moving after the last tent. And I was like, that's very smart. That's, and they might even do that in the game. That's just sort of the way it is. But they understand characters, and they understand a Miami Beach. Because if you look at this Miami Beach and you look to the left, there is a picture of a girl, there is a girl that is laying down, a goth girl, black hair, sunglasses, tats, in black pants on a beach. That very typical, I'm not going to get sunny, I'm not going to look like a certain way for you kind of person is on the beach. And I saw all the other people, and they've got all these kind of different heights and stuff like that. They've nailed that. But the one person I noticed almost instantly was the person who looks out of place, which is that goth person, friend of yours, who shows up in pale makeup and is like, right. yeah. And I thought that was awesome. And I've got some pictures here. Let me find out which one it is, because I do want to show. Oh no, they're here. I do want to show some of these. So, then I want to talk about the guy dropping his elbow. So if you look at all of the other footage, none of it looks like this. And there's some weird discrepancies in this spot that I asked John to check into. He's not my lackey, so I don't know if he will. But I asked him because I was like, this is quite interesting to me. You look at this spot, everybody looks wet, but there's only a small pool of water on the ground when the guy smashes his elbow into the table. Everything is dry. And the lighting looks worse. It's not reflecting on some of the bottles. People are wet looking, so I'm assuming somebody got sprayed. Maybe there's a character that sprays them with water or something. but the entire scene looks different than everything else, and it almost looks like they took it from a different trailer. Like it's very odd. If you watch that trailer in full, you get all of these very specific spots, some of them in dark or sunset, like the guy grabbing his crotch, and they look a certain way. And if you watch the trailer, you could probably miss this, but if you watch it once or twice and you see this spot where the guy drops the elbow in the wrestling match, there's some stuff going on behind them. Something about it, man. Like, I don't know if that's maybe the S and that's how the lighting will be, if that's an older cutscene, if it's just something out of screen I can't see. But if you get a chance, you should check that scene out, because, and sure. I posted up a picture so people can see, but everything about it looks very interesting and disconnected. So I think that's the one thing I took away from the trailer, was everything was connected. The guy gets out of his car, his hair is blowing in the wind, his dreadlocks, like all that kind of stuff. Everything's connected. There was that scene, and then the girl in the car. If you notice the girl in the car, her hair isn't moving. Yeah, she's on the car and her hair goes back, and you notice that all those effects are way lower than anywhere else in the entire trailer. Because they knew that everyone
would be looking at her ass or something.
No, not that one. I'm talking about the girl in the Ferrari driving down the freeway, and she puts her hand out and she puts her arms out in the top of the car, and I was like, that's interesting because the level of detail is not as high there. Yeah, which again, I'm just saying points out to it being real. Like, that is... That
grounds it a little bit more.
It grounds it to me. It's like not perfect. There's errors. There's aliasing in places. You definitely see there's like reflections missing in some places when they're walking and the camera's pointing at them, following them through the back of the store. There's a bunch of bottles on the right that aren't reflecting the character. Like, there's things there that show that they're probably doing multiple different little tricks and stuff, which I love to see because they're awesome. Like,
for sure, they always have their really neat tricks that make that really push the consoles. Like on the PS4, they had the Red Dead thing with the how if you're far away and you look at the landscape changes to, I think, lower poly or something.
I don't even think it was lower poly. Some stuff turned into images or something. There was some discussion
like a JPEG or something like that.
Something
you just couldn't
GDC
notice.
Talked about it. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So I'm sure they will. It's not just, they're not going to brute force everything, especially because they I think that's part of the reason. Maybe I was thinking about this, other than the reason for obviously like double dipping for PC and stuff like that, or that people always say, oh, they only release on console first. I feel like part of the reason is also just kind of really getting the not the edge, I guess, like the edge case where they can be stable and release it on hardware that they for sure know that every piece of hardware is the same. So that, because they're Rockstar and they want their game to be like top of the line, no buggy, weird performance stuff, and then take a year out to kind of like because it goes, a lot of work goes into kind of making it work on all the different configurations and making it all smooth and stuff like that. That's part of the reason. But yeah, like especially running on these consoles with what we've seen, they have to pull some, even on 30 FPS, they really do need those tricks. For sure that they all
upscaling, I'm sure.
Upscaling.
There was definitely something.
For sure.
Yeah, there was something going on with the way it looked at times, a little blurry at times, which, by the way, is fine. I'm more into assigning an expectation than I am about jacking off to a console's power. Like, to me, the idea of that is ridiculous. So I actually sort of, when you look at that, I don't know what it was using. Probably, what do they use now? FSR, whatever they use. Maybe the Rockstar has made their own. I don't remember what they have in GTA 5, especially day one. But GTA 6, what I saw was like the attention to detail in the animations. For example, a post-it note. This is so dumb, but it's the first thing I noticed in the entire trailer, was she's talking to her case manager, and her case manager's paper on the desk has a post-it note that's curled, and there actually is a shadow from the outside window hitting the curl of the post-it note. And that's when I was like, yeah, they know what they're doing. I love it, dude. Dude, yeah, I saw that and I was like, oh yeah, now I know. Now I sort of know the level. It sounds dumb, but it's like the moment you see something small like that, you're like, now I know what level they're aiming for, which is ridiculous. Just insane. They have hinges on the back of their, picture frames, and like it's absolutely nuts. It also looks like some ray tracing, because
Does it? I thought
yeah,
it was
for
like
sure.
a very stylized dress too, or something. Or
No,
they just
unless
did
they're
it really
doing a
well.
bunch of cheats, because if you look in the picture frame, you can't see the light source, but it's hitting the picture frame and reflecting back.
Oh, okay.
A lot of the
On-screen
mirrors
space.
have what look to be like. I mean, there's cheats, but I don't know what I don't know if they're more or less. But I thought that was pretty awesome. Or sometimes, you know, they're obviously using global illumination, but there's something going on there, and maybe a mixture of them. You know, maybe a mixture
Yeah, it
of
could
techniques.
be, or maybe it's a baked reflections, or you don't think they would do that?
Oh, well, no, because these are dynamic, like the rear window. Yeah, so yeah, you could certainly do something like that, even though everything else is, if you wanted to, everything else is real time. But I don't think that's what was going on. Just by looking at it, and the lighting on some of the characters looked next level. You know,
especially if the CPU load is gonna make it so that it's a 30 FPS, they can definitely push some other things a little bit, like put some ray tracing in there, maybe not full, but some, for sure,
not
on console.
Yeah, it's not Cyberpunk level, obviously. You know,
no, not path tracing and shit. Okay, that's all.
Yeah.
There's no 4090s in the console.
So the other things that I was looking at was, when you look at the beach in particular, I thought it was really cool because not only they have a huge character like generation system going on, different characters, but there were one or two guys all wearing, I think I have 4 that are wearing these red Bermuda trunks, like slightly above the knee. And they were easy to track because it's red. So it's like I saw it and I started zooming in on pictures, and they've done a pretty good job because every one of those guys, even if they're black or if they're white or Hispanic, what have you, they've changed like a hat or the hairdo. They've done a really good job of just saying, like, make sure to try to not repeat. And again, that could just be that moment where they're spawning in very specific actors for that cutscene moment. But that was awesome. I thought that was great. Did you see the influencer down on the right? A guy taking a photo of like his girlfriend, and then there were the people spraying each other with lotion on the left.
In which scene?
In the beach, on the beach, when people are running towards them. You look on the left, there's a guy spraying like, you know, bronzer on the girl, and then on the right there's a guy laying down, like, you know, paint me like your French lady kind of thing, taking a picture of what looks like it to be his girl. And then the chihuahua even has the little dog even has shadows on his legs when he's running. Yeah,
that's
I thought
cool,
that
man.
was
If
hilarious.
we're gonna be seeing NPCs walking dogs and stuff like that,
I mean, they're good at figuring that kind of stuff out. It's going to be awesome to see if they have a midline. If we see a dropping of NPCs in, you know, I think we probably will, depending on the console. Like the S is probably
like the S.
Yeah, because dude, that's a lot of. Can you imagine trying to do the AI? They had a problem in Red Dead, and that had 25 people in a town, and that was like, I didn't count. I'm sure somebody's counted by now, but that looked like over 100 people.
The scale of that city is kind of insane, though. Like I was looking at it, and there's like 3 big shot scenes, and every time, like, there's, for example, one scene had a lot of, you know, not downtown, but like city, like a lot of buildings, of buildings everywhere, and you can see that there are other islands with their own kind of like buildings, like a lot of life and architecture, right? And then there's another scene, and you see multiple islands, and they're all kind of farmlands and wildlands and shit like that. I'm just trying to think of the scale of it, how big it's going to be.
Well, Florida Keys, they'll probably have. They already showed the plane, and they had the I can't remember the name of the bridges, but they had all the bridges connecting the islands. And so I'm sure there'll be islands all around, you know. Little stuff. We saw sea-doos.
We did.
There's sea-doos. There's boats.
And yachts moving, and cargo
moving. Yeah,
moving. You know, usually they're stationary in GTA 5.
And swamp boats. One of you guys had
said
swamp boats,
dude. I was just imagining myself going in the swamp and just going hunting with my little swamp boat. You know what I mean?
I'm excited to actually see swamp boats, because I'm assuming they wouldn't put it in there if you can't hunt out there, because swampland, go out there, hunt alligators. You know, they showed the flamingos and ducks, and just their wildlife system is on point.
I also have a little theory, which might be true, but the different activities you can do, it looks to me Like there's these different gangs or groups or factions, and there's
The
like the dirt
motorbike
bike
gang.
guys,
Yeah, you're
the
right.
dirt rally, and
Yep.
the street races. And I feel like you could join these guys, you know, prove yourself and
I
climb
agree.
up the ranks and do all that shit. I
And
think that's gonna be a thing.
I bet you they've built the stunt system into Twitter in that game. I bet you $1 billion. No, I won't bet you
What
$1
do you
billion.
mean?
All the stunts you could do in GTA Online and GTA, I bet you they built it into the Twitter, and that's why we were seeing all the Twitter guys standing on the side of cars and stuff. I bet you motorbikes popping wheelies and all that. I bet you have some way, whether it be a friend filming you and then you can post it and get followers, because they seem really into that.
That was my next point, dude. What if there's like a whole social media platform in the game?
Oh,
and
there
you can,
will be. Man.
You can find like NPCs fighting or something and post shit. Like
or
take a
go
video
there
of it and,
to
and
activities.
get likes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
I absolutely. I mean,
that.
everything they showed, that's what I felt when I saw it, was like, oh, they are going to double down on that being a thing. And I mean, because it was everywhere. And it took up a full middle part of that entire trailer, which was them filming and goofy stuff. And it's like I could see the player engaging in
because social media wasn't nearly as big when GTA 5
10 years ago,
or certainly in their development.
I mean, it was big, but it wasn't in the Instagram. It was more the Twitter, and Instagram has become that I'm the main character in the world, you know, social stuff. Real quick, we'll do some super chats. Love the games. $5 super chats. You bastards keep me sane for the year. Living in hell. I moved to a new place with my girlfriend on the 18th, and I think I'm going to marry her. Shout out to you guys. Shout out, man. That's awesome. I can be best man. If you need a best man, I'll show up. You know, as long as you're not like in another nation. I think Love the Games is here. Hush Al Ghul, $2 super chat. Why release the trailer so early? 2025. Because they know what they can do and get away with. And that is just going to cause a furor. It's going to cause so many people to want to wish list it. I see no reason to not do it. Right?
They have it down to a science. I feel like they know
they've got
exactly
studies
which
on it.
day to. Yeah,
absolutely. Do you know what though? I bet you other devs. I know at least one, but I bet you many other devs look at their entire plan and are trying to mimic it,
studying.
Yeah, just like the screenshot thing we were joking about on Twitter, where it's like everybody stole their screenshot.
Like everybody was doing it. Yeah.
Oh, people are looking at their timing, looking at how they do things. I mean, because success. We tell people all the time, this person had success, follow what they did, adjust it for yourself. I'm sure companies are looking and going, well, 2 years if we cut a great trailer, can end up paying off.
For sure.
Gemi 5404, $2 super chat. Boys, here's my weekly support and thanks for the show. Thank you, man. And then SP3CU 11 super chat, GTA Florida, man.
Leonida, man.
I think the thing with Florida is like there's a hyperbole around Florida and Texas that is, it's there, but they chose to they chose to have satire around those, and I think it's perfect because the people who live in Florida, we've got people in the Discord are like, yeah, it's pretty crazy. It's not that crazy because people catch the craziest moments, and so it appears like there's more. But it looked perfect. It looked like, and they were punching down, I felt. At least at people, dude, influencers, dummies.
With that antidepressant sign, dude.
Yeah.
Oh,
who hurt you? Was it Who Hurt You? Wow. Is that the one?
Yeah, I was like, who hurt you? These are, I think they're like happy meds or something like that. And I'm like, dude, they're not holding back. I wouldn't be surprised if they had like a cancellation joke in there, like someone popular got canceled and stuff like that, for sure. Yeah. And I feel like, because obviously they gotta make fun of the setting, and I feel like Florida is one of the best places to do that. Have you seen like the shot for shot, like those things that actually happened in real life, dude?
The old lady with she's got like hammers. Hammers and stuff like that. Yeah, they sort of played off of it. I thought that was a awesome idea. And the twerking and stuff. I mean, we've seen that. Like that shit's. Like I said, everybody wants to be the main star. So it feels whenever you go out into those big cities, it feels like every single person is trying to be that star. And so that's why the gyms are being recorded and stuff like that. So I think it was a perfect place. Also, this is going to sound weird. You can't get all of everybody in Florida to get mad that you're teasing them. So it's
No.
not racial,
Yeah.
it's not whatever. It's like we're teasing Florida. And at some point, even Florida, the people I know from Florida tease Florida, the people who are from Texas, Oregon, whatever state, whatever nation. In fact, some people will be like, they're cool with it. You know, they understand that that's sort of the thought process. I think it was a perfect idea. I think it worked out really well.
Yeah, absolutely.
They also love their love. I don't know if this is a thing in Florida right now, but it's certainly not a America thing currently. But they love themselves some jean shorts. I have no clue what's going on there, but I was like, dude, what is I mean, like jean shorts. I don't know if maybe that's taken back over, but the chick kicks in the door and the lady with, you know, throwing the signs at the mud rally or whatever. And I was just like, that's interesting that they focused on that. I thought that was, we used to call them jorts.
What's your take on the cop police footage and stuff like that? What do you
You're
think?
gonna
How
be
do you
a
think
cop.
that
You'll go undercover or something.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, dude, they showed that was pretty much. I don't know. It's just hints, but you see the guy being chased. You see, you know, what looks like you pulling over a guy, possibly dash cam footage with the guy grabbing his balls. Like, it's hard to tell. That might have been a normal car, but I just feel like, yeah, you guys were probably right in that, you know, it depends also on the character. It looks more like a character who's fallen from grace or has a health issue or whatever, you know, so they've decided that the score is important, but we'll have to see, are these characters going to be murderers or not? Because that falls apart pretty quickly. You know, I think in today's society, we start to look at that. We used to think Bonnie and Clyde are, you know, cool because there was a mystique about it. But when you see the reality every day, I think that a lot of people are like, oh, that's not. So I can't wait to see how they write them.
Sure. You know? Yeah. I really hope also within the game, I know GTA Online will have a ton of this, and I feel like they already set up a ton of real estate for GTA Online for adding all sorts of crazy shit. But I really hope in the single player as well, you'll have these you know, I love my systems, but those recurring kind of maybe emergent jobs. You know, we've seen jobs in GTA obviously before, but maybe more fleshed out where you can like work as a cop somehow or a cab or stuff like that, or you know, activities like a Yakuza thing, like go play pool or darts. I know for sure. I mean, they showed like the video of you in the club, which was pretty cool with the DJ. And they brought on amazing artists for GTA Online, at least. Like Solomon played for like an hour-long set and stuff. I'm very curious if they actually got some like real DJs to do some sets in those clubs where you can go in and chill and stuff like. And the strip club. Sorry,
no, that's all right.
Oh my god, I was comparing the strip club scene with the GTA 5 scene, and night and day. It's crazy.
Yeah, so just so you know, that's actually one of the things I think will be slightly adjusted for playability. So if you look at those spots, they're not even walkable.
You can't walkable.
They're not walkable. Yeah, so when you start looking at some of those and you start seeing like how are they going to handle bumping into each other, how are they going to handle characters reacting to you being aggressive, a crowd system for movement, is it going to be like Hitman where no longer bumping into, will nothing happen and you have to punch somebody, which I actually think in a big city that actually makes sense because people are up against each other all the time. I would actually like it if, unlike Red Dead, where if your horse hits somebody, everybody wants to kill you. It would be sort of cool to say whatever. But I think they showed, the mud racing, the monster trucks they showed 3 times. I would assume you can do those. The wrestling, probably do that. Yeah. The club looked awesome, but from a game standpoint, that was the first thing that I saw when I came up. I was like, okay, that's unplayable as a spot, as in the way it's set up right there. So maybe when you enter for the first time, that's a cutscene or what have you, and then it sort of becomes pathable because Jesus.
At least,
right? Like that just looks
or like
nuts.
Assassin's Creed, just like going through the crowd.
Like Unity. I mean, they could too. And by the way, I'd be fine with that. I do think that some characters were leaned over and they were in positions that don't really speak to them being able to trigger quickly. If you did, can you imagine bumping people all the time in there? I don't know. We'll just have to see.
Speaking of bumping. There was a scene where I think a car hit another car, and the dude was like, they had like an actual reaction to it, like got out and been like, "What the fuck, man," and all that stuff. Do you think that's going to be more of a thing? Like, do you think traffic is going to be more of a mechanic where, let's say you go over the speed limit, a cop would chase you, but maybe that would hinder some gameplay?
Oh yeah, I mean,
would want to go
you
fast,
could definitely do that, but the cops would. I just think if a cop's near you, yes, but
Sure.
otherwise, why worry about that? Seems really not as playable, not as fun, unless a cop's
Maybe
there.
a setting like Mafia.
Yeah, and to me, I like the idea of, hey, I'm driving around. Oh, this happened. This thing occurred. What have you? The cop comes after you, and then otherwise they don't come after you.
I really hope as well, because we've seen a lot of this in the trailer, obviously. But I really hope that you're not the only crazy dude in the world, and every NPC is just like being kind of NPC-ish. I hope you see like crazy people, and I think we do, but we will. But like hopefully, like just driving around, you see people robbing something, and some dude with his car going crazy, and just like hooligans and shit. You know what I mean? I want to see more of that.
I just want to make sure that it's playable in a way that is enjoyable, but at the same time, not everybody's crazy. Like, it'll be really hard for them to balance, I'm sure. They're gonna, because you don't want everybody to have an alligator in their backyard. You'd be like,
definitely not
funny,
everybody,
but it becomes this trope. So that guy, I mean, they were capturing the alligator. What if you get a job capture? What if you have a hazardous pet capture company, and that's one of the side jobs is grabbing dude. That would kick ass if it's just like grabbing different animals, and trying to return them. That to me would be an awesome side of it. I think the wrestling is probably a thing. Monster trucks are probably a thing. That's a thing. I didn't see any games. In fact, I didn't see basketball courts. I didn't see tennis courts.
I want basketball in it, dude.
Yeah, I didn't see either one of those. I didn't. Obviously, we talked about hockey last time, but I mean, didn't see a hockey. Didn't see a hockey.
Yeah. I obviously driving is going to be improved, like the mechanics, how driving feels. But imagine it's like Forza Horizon, like very kind of in the middle between arcade and sim.
I think it is going to be fixed because they showed the cars doing the donuts, and I think that's a group, like you said, but they also showed them on purpose in slow motion going around the corner. And if you watch that, which I did, I also ballooned it up to 60 frames per second, even though it was AI. I wanted to see like how it was handling things. It looked really like there wasn't wheel tap, which is where sometimes you get that thing where it's like when it just looked really good. And I was watching it going, oh, maybe they've I mean, I would assume they've stepped it up because they tried with 4 and then they arcaded it a little bit with 5.
With 5,
maybe it'll be in the middle there. SP3CU 12 super chat. What location would work in future GTA games? Dubai? Dude, doesn't Dubai put you in prison for like being an adulteress or something? Like, I don't know if Dubai would be a great place to go. Isn't that one of the places where they have all the social, like the societal rules?
Isn't Dubai? Yeah, it's a little bit blown up sometimes, but I still do. I hear crazy stories coming from that. Like if you bump into the wrong person, he can get you in jail.
Yeah,
people with money, with power, they you know what I mean. They can do some shit for sure.
Love the game's $2 super chat. What if a player could get kidnapped or ransomed? Player?
Well, we've seen that in Red Dead, kinda. You got kidnapped in Red Dead if you went by a particular house in the swamp.
I just don't know why you would be kidnapped versus arrested, because it looks like you guys are thieves. Oh, unless it's one of those groups, and you
like
have to go save them with the other one. Yeah,
sure.
Yeah, I really did like also. Well, okay, so it's obvious she's the leader. I think when you come out of it, like the way they talked in bed. She's leading on the way into the back of the store and kicking the door in. Like, I got the opinion of that relationship. Like, she's the lead, and she's trying to talk him into doing whatever it is, because she even says, something like that in bed where she's like, let's just do this or trust me or what have you. But it'll be interesting to see how that plays out, too. Like, maybe at the end, because L.A. Noire, well, it's not necessarily theirs, but... Yeah, it would be great to see the betrayal. What if the entire story is him at the end telling a story to the cops? Right? And he's this is all the shit we did. You never know.
She's out on parole, right? Like we've seen her in an ankle monitor or something in a previous.
Well, she's talking to her case officer at the start.
Sure,
I mean,
yeah.
So
yeah.
Oh, maybe she's got out, and maybe there's a discussion of informant. And they have to break into those groups. But why?
Oh, yeah, or maybe she's an informant who betrays her husband, or maybe you get the choice or something. Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy that in 2023, they release a trailer for a game that is announced for 2025, which could also be delayed, depending. It's just crazy how far away it is. But you know what's funny? We'll remember we were talking about this, and I'll feel like yesterday.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
like it did with GTA
When we're
5.
there,
I saw
it'll
the
be
trailer,
like,
and then it was like, boom, it was out, even though it was 2 years later.
There's like no depth perception when you get there in your memories. And you're like, oh.
Yeah, it's all
That's a
just
thing.
flat screens, like watching security footage. Dude, it's I mean, what I saw looked awesome. I think that they've nailed pretty much everything I was hoping for.
Yeah, and I'm so glad like people are real. Like you see all these different types of people, and one of my biggest issues with the new Saints Row was with this like quote unquote woke thing was like people of different ethnicities were all kind of
jammed.
Everything was stripped away from them, and they were all whitewashed to shit, and everyone's like, hey, look at me, I'm just talking like normal, you know, and everyone's like a little bitch. And then in GTA, it just feels like, yo, you know, these people, there's like real shit, and like they're not afraid of showing real shit, which I'm very glad was a thing that I saw in the trailer.
Yeah, they showed also an incredible amount of traffic on the streets. Like just they showed a couple places where all of the cars were parked up and there were all these people walking around. And I will admit that that's again one of the times where I was like, this might not be super playable. It might not be super, you know, because you do need some space. So I just want to see how that's playable versus is it what I think, which is at the starting, they're like Miami, you know, and they're doing a camera pan and they're showing you, which by the way, I would have no issue. But what I saw, it looks like Twitter is a big thing. It looks like a bunch of activities. I still think the swamp boat racing minimum, if not hunting or doing something there, I would have to look at laws if it's legal to hunt. But, you know, there's stuff there in the swamplands or a storyline where, you know, somebody's body, you know, somebody gets buried in the swamplands to disappear later on. That kind of stuff would be great.
I'm very interested as well how because it's a big city and it's a big city, and I'm interested if they'll have these like kind of non-marked events or big things that can happen just because you went to a place, you decided to like explore this place at a certain time of day and bumped into someone that, you know what I mean, without like being like, hey, go here. I'm wondering if they can do that and be okay with the fact that players might not see it or players might not like bump into it or something. You know what I mean?
It seems to me they're pretty okay with that. I mean, dude, all GTA, Red Dead, even Bully had a couple. LA Noire had some. Again, not exactly the same group, but they've all had little secrets or little things that you know. Red Dead in particular, like look at all of the little secrets, all of the little side missions, cannibals, all this kind that you didn't even have to see, and that's been all the way back. Even you know their first games, obviously GTA, you know 3 on, they had those. So yeah, I see that as for sure a thing. I also don't. Yes, that might be the main city. I've heard a rumor of 3 cities, which would be nuts, but it wouldn't surprise me if once a year they release a trailer and what if they say we're releasing another trailer, GTA 5, and next year, same date. And everybody's like, oh, yeah, this will be, you know, some activities. And instead, different city. Like, that would be nuts. That would be nuts. That'd be insane. But I don't know. I'm just, I'm talking to my ass.
I mean,
what I saw.
I'm sure they want all the real estate so that, you know, GTA Online can be like the thing to play for the next 10 years or whatever and have all this real estate they can keep adding activities and stuff to.
Yeah, I bet you they're going to make it so that the desire to stay in 5 will be gone even though you're waiting 2 years, which, by the way, might be another reason why this trailer came so early, was to say, sort of, get into 5 now while you've got the 2 years. There's almost, and I got to admit, last night, I actually thought about it for a bit. I was like, maybe I should jump into 5 before 5 goes away, before, like, you know, jump in. And for even people on a Discord, we're talking in the patron Discord, we're like, hey,
even
man,
Red Dead, dude, the current concurrent players is shot up. So yeah. Very interesting.
Just goes to show you how talking about anything can impact anything else. You know, you get those kind of stuff. ACG, do you think Sony will get GTA 6 marketing rights? I don't know. I never track marketing rights anymore. Not that that's not interesting, but I never track them anymore. To me, it matters when it comes out. So, and I think for the most part now, gamers are smart on that, and that we know if something's shown and says on Xbox, it doesn't mean only on Xbox unless they say exclusive to Xbox. And Sony does the same thing. Yeah. You know, coming out on the Sony, and you're like, that, you know, the wording was a little off there. So I think for the most part that doesn't matter. They can do it, but I think for a lot of us people listening, I don't think that's a problem. I mean, I don't think anybody here would buy into that. Alex says we're going to have 2 more playable characters. I haven't heard the rumor on that, but that would be cool. I think they didn't show the bad guy side. And there wasn't a bad guy side in 5, like a the cops or a crooked detective. All they showed was a caseworker. So maybe there are some other things. I mean, I'm sure there are, but maybe there's something there. Another character would be fun if it was a cop.
Oh.
Or one of the gang members. What if you could be, what if you could take over as the motorbike gang or whatever and try to...
Yeah, I wonder if they'll do gang stuff where you can like have a gang and manage them, or have a group of people. We had like the heist thing, which was like a miniature version of that, where you choose your crew members and stuff. What if they blew it up more into this, where you can have like a crew? You know what I mean?
It's possible, but I took away from that when she's discussing trust and they're driving around together all the time, and it shows them do 3 or at least 2 heists together. I had a feeling of these 2 are the main 2, and it's going to be absolutely just about them, almost like a story. So dating, probably out. I'm just guessing. But my assumption would be that dating and romances are probably out as activities in that way. Could you go with her? Sure. But
can you cheat on her, or can you cheat on him?
I just don't think that would play out well for a story where, she's like, trust me, blah, blah, blah. Unless
maybe unless something happens, or before or after, Very interesting to think about, actually.
Yeah,
because there's strip clubs.
Yeah, there's strip. Well, and there's party events, all that kind of stuff. So it's like, but I mean,
I
have friends who go to the strip clubs together. And they're married. They've been married 14 years.
True.
And they go to
for sure.
They've had an escort together. So it's like,
But one other thing that I just remembered was like, it was really, really cool seeing, obviously, that iconic scene. It's in our thumbnail. The girl, whether it be Lucia or not, turning around in a bikini and in the balcony. What's very interesting to me is we've never seen that before, where you can go into a building and have like these balconies and like what do you think that's like a dynamic event, or do you think like maybe a certain quest where you party on a balcony, or do you think you can get invited to parties or gatherings or
I don't think very I don't want to run up 8,000 stairs in every building investigating.
No, obviously not.
So it'll be a little bit like Starfield, where you go in and maybe there's in commercial buildings, maybe there's a couple stores and they decide to put them in those. And that event looks like a party, an influencer party.
Mm-hmm. Maybe you're invited to it.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, it felt a little bit like she had a fall from grace kind of thing, because she's partying on the Ferrari. Maybe that's her, but it doesn't look hair-wise to be her. Body-wise, it could. Then you got her, whatever, flaunting her hair, and her with him in the bed. It's like, did she have a fall from grace in that way? Was she a supermodel and met him? Did he steer her wrong? Is that later, and you're trying to get her back to pop? Like, we just don't know. There's too much. There's all these rumors that just complete asinine.
Right.
Other than that, I would just say that they do a really good job with character models and character animation. Man, that's probably the biggest thing that came out of it. Was not even. I mean, number of people and everything was great, but the movement was just nailed.
Man. There's one thing about number of people. I mean, Cyberpunk, there's tons of NPCs on the street, but to see each different person just have their own, you can see by their actions that their personalities, like the way they move and the things they do, each person is personalized. Like, I don't know what they're gonna do. Like that's a lot of different assets and like processing power.
Can you imagine trying to? I mean, especially if you watch the GDCs for Legion, Watch Dogs Legion, you watch Unity talking about crowds and how they have to cheat everybody, and this is on current consoles, so it's like it's definitely going to be a different situation. Where Cyberpunk is a non-interactive world, right? There's almost nothing that's actually truly interactive in Cyberpunk. So the idea of a Rockstar game just taking the interaction even from GTA 5 and not Red Dead. Though I would say actually GTA 5 is more there's a lot of stuff going on in GTA 5, including airplanes. So if you go to GTA 5, if you try to get that much interaction in there, man, that's going to be rough. Like, dude, the amount, maybe that's why they need 2 years, right? Is to try to just, they want to get it polished up to the point to where everything's nailed. It's going to be wild to see what that game, dude, if they can hit 30 at that level of whatever that we're seeing and not have some misstep that we're unaware of, it's
huge, man.
It's going to be magical.
It's above and beyond. They've done that with like the other 2 consoles where you're like, how the fuck is this running right now? Like, how is this possible?
Yeah, some of the stuff I want to see. I mean, Red Dead was less surprising to me because there was not a lot going on. There were no airplanes. There were no 3D you had to worry about. You didn't have to worry about battles above you or airplanes or fucking underwater, what have you. Actually, GTA 5 was the one that impressed me the most. Red Dead impressed me in that up close attention to detail for a couple people. But it seems like this one is attention to detail for a couple people and attention to detail for the fucking world. So it's just
it's like Red Dead blown up into a modern city, which is insane. Yeah.
Wild One says, "Do you think they will use AI?" Yeah, we were talking about that last podcast. Question. Is like the idea of like how they will, in the creation, I don't know. There's just a lot of stuff that I want to see, and I think Rockstar would use it if they could for whatever it may be. I didn't see anything there that made me question what I saw.
Maybe they did both, where they did script a lot but used AI to make like modifications because of the amount of people. It
could be, but the amount of people, speaking of, they have a massive development team. It feels to me like every person is probably touching every single thing.
Yeah.
It's
nuts, is it, like 5,000 people or something?
Dude.
Something crazy.
It's crazy. It's like Ubisoft,
Yeah. All of Ubisoft with all their sub companies.
What else do we got? So moving on, anything else for GTA before we move on? GTA breakdown.
No, man, I'm very excited. Looks great. It blew people away, and cool beans. It's cool to be a gamer now. We just have to not die until it comes out. So,
man, that's a dire prediction. Just it comes out, we'll all die. Just if you can make it that just far, people.
Yeah.
Let's see. What else do we got? Rogue Trader. So I was asked about my Rogue Trader review. I'm going to try to figure out what to do with that, but it looks like, so I was able to I got the setup and I got done with the Avatar review. And then it was like a day or two after where I tried to access that drive that holds the media files, and I couldn't access it anymore, and I still can't access it. So I'm sitting on Rogue Trader in the review. I would personally say it is, horrendously buggy, stunningly buggy. And the people I talked to all had a ton of bugs, but I did see that somebody said, at least one reviewer said it was bugless. And I don't even know what to say to that, because like last night when I played it, because I couldn't get to the the files, so I was like, oh, I'll just play it some more so we can talk about it. And even last night patched up, it was buggy as hell. So I don't really know what's going on there, but I will say it was super buggy. It was very fun in some parts. The role-playing aspects, the ROLE part, was a blast. I had a really good time. Like, the way they do reputation, you never quite know how some question is going to end up. Like, what's it going to result in? Is like, are you going to shoot somebody in the head? After a bit, because it'll say, do you want to attack or what have you? But it's like when the reputation comes up and there's like iconoclast, there's a heretic, and there's dogmatic. And when one of those comes up, you really do have to read closely, because they can appear to be the same, but then you get to a certain point and it's like, shoot them in the head. And if you're not reading that, you could accidentally push that button and find yourself, one less party member down. But I think the combat... go ahead. No, go ahead.
One complaint I heard was that there's a lot of like pockets of story, but no good kind of overarching story. Is that true?
That a little bit. It's very... So you get your other characters, which are awesome. So each one of these characters comes in, they bring their own hates and loves, and and problems, and those, they have their little mini stories where it's like, oh, this character needs help in this place, so we're going to jump in there and we're going to help this character out. But I will say that you come to power in a pretty generic way, and it's like, go forth and trade. So it's really weird when you think about it too. When you see a Space Marine in Warhammer, like, that dude is a military arm of the Holy Emperor, and he's gonna like end fights.
Mm-hmm.
And then you see the rogue trader, and you're like, this dude dresses like a train conductor, is driving around in what looks like a fucking iron for clothes, and is trying to find the best price on sausages. And somehow they have ultimate control as well. They basically, and they sort of start arguments. It's a very odd character style to go into, because everybody's like, hey man, you want to trade some stuff? And you're trading guns. A lot of it is arms, but even food and rations. And you're like, this is so weird that I have all this power as this rogue trader. And if you read up on the narrative, it makes sense a little bit, but it doesn't make too much sense. I mean, you're basically a merchant for Skyrim in a spaceship. And it doesn't do the greatest job like giving that character the thought process of ultimately, sometimes leaving a planet, let's say, to its own devices if something horrendous happens, which that occasionally occurs. So it's a different style of game in that way. I would say, side characters, your main quest isn't great. But
I heard that.
The role playing of the reputations is good. I liked all that, and the spaceship battles, they're bad. They're rough. So like you have your man-on-man battles, which is really cumbersome. A lot of formulas with no numbers, so you have to. I was, talking to some people about that. Oh
god, like Pathfinder. Yeah,
they're ridiculous. I mean, there is one that I found even after I was like originally noticing this. It was like 3 paragraphs of formula. It's like 10 times this minus 2 times your stack, and if somebody attacks you, it's now minus 3, and you're just like, what the fuck? Like what? You don't even know if somebody's going to attack you, so you don't even know what the minus 3. It's just there's so
I was hoping
much
they'd
fludginess in that.
They wouldn't have the same kind of because Pathfinder, even the tabletop, like I had a D&D kind of group, and they wanted to play Pathfinder, and I was looking at it, and even character creation, it's like, dude, I don't want to be sitting here doing math. Dude, like literally you need math, and I was hoping they would crunchy. Like make it a bit better to kind of deep but not like it has depth to it, but you don't have to do all the head work and stuff, even though some people might like it. But other than that, I've seen some reviews that are just kind of saying it's a bit buggy. I've seen some reviews where it's like, okay, quest breaking bugs, a lot of bugs, like literally just they gave it like 60s and stuff like that, 50, even 59 or something like that. I saw scores that low because of the bugs. I can't say I'm too surprised, because Owlcat releases. I mean, this seems much buggier than the last one, but I feel like it was also a little bit rushed, because I was very surprised by the release date.
Oh, were you? Yeah, I mean, I don't know what their initial time frame usually is for games.
Yeah,
but it does feel rushed when you play it. So it's like it's obvious that it was. Yeah, I mean, the number of times, for example, that I jumped in and I had to reload because my character spawned in another, like, out in the shadow verse. They weren't even in the level, and that happened a lot. Or I would be battling and go into the door, and one guy would come through the door, and 5 guys, I would go, where are they? And I'd click on their icon, and they'd be in the middle of nowhere under a treasure chest. And that kind of stuff did happen a lot, not a small amount. Another thing is
patch type game.
Sure. They have a problem with their camera. Their camera doesn't transparency the world very well. So there's a lot of battles. They love festooning shit. They're like, fucking, we're gonna hang, tapestries, and this place looks lived in, man. And that's great until you try to use a camera and you're facing a wall and you hear guys talking or attacking, and you're like, I can't see shit. And so a lot of times you're zooming in and then zooming out and then zooming in and zooming out. So it's clumsy. It's clumsy, but at the same time, the combat's pretty fun.
Yeah. How big is it? How big's the game?
Very big.
It's like
very big. Yeah.
Sitting at around 73 on Metacritic, by the way, just so you guys know.
73 is high for what I experienced.
For what it was.
Yeah, and for what I expect. But no, actually, if you saw 59, then 73 is probably It's
like the
lower
highest
than
score
I'm sure
is 85.
Oh, I would say it's lower than what they want, but I think that's probably 70 is probably where I would. So 3 points off is not that bad. That's probably what I expected. Because
59 is from PC Gamer. Yeah.
Yeah, and when there's parts that are good, they're really like there are some quests or choices you make that you're like, damn, this is we're going straight atomic. Like this choice that we make is the end of someone or some large thing. But then everything's hackneyed. The spaceship combat is hackneyed. It just means hacked in. It's just like they're just sort of lack of depth. So you do the you do the man-on-man combat, and you're merging skills with other people, and they're merging skills, and you've got this formula, and then you go into ship combat, and it's like launch fighters. There's just not a lot that really goes on. You also have 6-person co-op, which is cool.
That's cool. So the team is 6 people?
Yeah, the team is 6. Yeah.
Nice. I like 6 people.
Yeah. But you get more than 6 is why I was counting in my head.
Yeah,
you get more than 6.
Is it can you is there drag and hold to move different characters around, you two go over there kind of like an RTS like other CRPGs like Pillars?
Wait, I like in battle or not in battle?
Not in battle. Like let's say you're
in battle
around.
You can separate and move people, and I can't remember, but there's a button to have just one guy go.
That's just not as bad as BG3 is what I'm trying to ask.
And I got to tell you, the controller version works pretty well. I was actually a little bit happier, I would say, messing around with the controller than I was the mouse and keyboard. It felt like there's a lot of buttons because there's a lot going on, but it actually worked pretty well. And then verticality sort of messed up. So if you have a laser gun going on a guy who's 2 levels above you, the camera is really confusing. It's like pop, 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 pop during, like if you're trying to shoot a guy, it'll go up and it'll not know where to go.
We've seen that a lot with Divinity. Yeah.
Oh yeah, true. And I saw it with Baldur's Gate where camera works hard.
That too. Yeah.
Divinity probably is the most stunning. It was 1 or 2 where they somehow figured out transparencies for everything. And I remember swinging around a rock and the rock just faded out. And it was I was able to 100% of the time. Yep. And I was like, I can see everybody. I never, even no matter how busy it was, I could see everybody. But the lore is great, and I do like the characters. There's just a lot of, and it's pretty low tech. It's pretty low detail, so it doesn't perform the greatest for what it's showing too, which I think was one of my big, I sort of came out of it going, especially when I played Avatar and I played this. The difference between Avatar and this, admittedly, they're smaller devs, so I want to make sure people think I'm not comparing. But
it's also not
doing a bunch.
Best graphically.
Yeah, so you see these like really janky guys who are missing animate. Like you switch weapons, and I'll just shoot a laser beam from my chest, and you're like, what? And then I went and looked, and it's supposed to be a gun. It just never comes out. And so he'll be like, he has his staff, and you go switch weapons, shoot the laser, and they go. And then a laser beam shoots out of their chest, where another character might switch weapons. And it seems like maybe 1 or 2 characters are glitched. The actual character might be glitched, and you might need to they might need to figure that animation.
Let's say I'm a huge Owlcat and Warhammer fan, and I love CRPGs, and I've been waiting for this for like 2 years or something. Would you say go ahead and buy it, or would you say the bugs are big enough to probably wait until a patch?
If you're a big Outcast fan after their other releases, then
no, I mean, let's say I played
Divinity or
you
Baldur's
played them
Gate
when they were patched up or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Let's say you're just a Warhammer fan.
It's definitely worse than I've experienced, and I don't know if it's been patched. So once it gets patched, maybe, because there's a lot I like. But no matter what, if you're an Outcast fan, if you're whatever, Pillars of Eternity 2 had this with ship battles. They didn't appear fully fleshed out.
Yeah.
And that is exactly how I feel some of the side stuff in this is done. It is not as fleshed out as Pathfinder, I'll say that much. I felt like Pathfinder, even though it had, I think Pathfinder even had some of the army, mini game kind of stuff. This is, those mini game things just feel pretty rough. Can you spam that guy?
Dude, this is so stupid. How the fuck do you ban people on YouTube, man? I can only time out hide user in this channel. Is that ban?
Hide user. They're gone.
Users' messages will be hidden. Dumbass.
But yeah, so it was good. So it has some bugs, but I thought the ROLL part of the playing was really cool. Some confusing buttons and, iconography. But overall, you're a big Outcast fan. I mean, if you're a big Outcast fan, then you probably are big because you trust them to patch it, so you might want to wait. I mean, I don't see an issue with waiting.
They do patch.
They'll patch.
I guess Yeah, Kingmaker was patched. Honestly,
true. Some of them are still buggy. I did see a post about that in particular.
Like War of the Chosen, I kept hearing about bugs. I never experienced bugs. Obviously, you're gonna get that, edge case, or you're gonna get people that don't experience as many bugs. But it is a gamble. Any buggy game, I feel like is just a gamble, and it's fuck it, dude. If you think you can. I don't know, man. It would suck in a game like this, with as massive as it is, to be like stopped by a quest-breaking bug and have no choice other than.
Yeah, and I did have to reload quite a number of times. Yeah. But again, they're bugs, so everybody's not going to get one. But and so yeah, in comparison to Avatar, it was night and day. It was ridiculous. Avatar's probably the best.
Polished.
It is the best. It is one of the best looking games I've ever played, and it is also one of the most performant games I've ever played. It was legitimately ridiculous in how good it played and moved and controlled in all ways. It was phenomenal, and it did not ever really stop. I'm going to move that so people can see it. It consistently performed at a level that I was not expecting. Yeah, even without FSR, even without I was getting almost 90 FPS at 4K ultra, everything.
Why do you think it was also it reminds me of like Atomic Heart and other divisive games where some people just didn't vibe with it? Is it just like not a game that's has a ton of mass appeal? Is it slower? Maybe because it's not like Far Cry, right? You're not getting hit all the time. Maybe some people just don't jive with it, or what do you think it is? Do you think
it's a little like Lords of the Fallen. I talked to Takedown about this. So I woke up and Takedown's like, "Hey man, this got a really weird score. Is it good or not? Blah blah blah." And I was like, "What? Why would that get a low score?" And then I went and checked, and this is the first time I find myself in agreement with GameSpot, where we both gave it like an 8. And then I started looking at the big websites, and they all rated it high, 7 or above.
Sure.
So I was like, that's interesting. Then I looked at who rated it low, and it was a bunch of influencers and smaller YouTube
virtue
channels.
Signalers?
No, I want to point that out. So remember with Lords of the Fallen, they threw a bunch of influencers at Lords of the Fallen, and it worked for them, even though it rated really low. It had a lot of tech issues. It still got that response. I'm wondering if Ubisoft thought it made sense because they didn't have big PR to throw it to a bunch of people, and those people were expecting a Far Cry, because there is not nearly as much activity in this game as there is in a Far Cry.
That's good to hear, personally.
It is. It was great for me. Like, that was because I haven't been a Far Cry fan at all. So it's like, I think has there been a Far Cry I've given a buy rating to, now that I think about it? So I gave, never touch,
3,
never
maybe?
touch. The last one would have had to have been 3 or 4, and I believe it wasn't even those.
Yeah, I'm not a Far Cry fan at all. I think they're all very mediocre, other than a few. Obviously, I'm not. Obviously, like Primal. I loved Primal. You kept talking about it, but it truly was very different than the other Far Cry games. So the idea of not being bombarded with repetitive kind of combat, or people just annoying you. One of the biggest things, and I've said this since I watched the previews, and something I was very excited for, was how they handle their environmental world building, level design just looks immaculate with how they handle the verticality and how they strategically place objects for you to jump on. 'Cause I love first person platforming. So I wonder what your take on the whole kind of traversal part of the game is. Is it like, do you get into a flow of just running around, or how is it?
They do. So first of all, it's Snowdrop, so it's not the Dunai engine. Yeah, it's not Far Cry's engine, and I have to say, you can tell it's not. one of the things they do is they have a little bit of a cheat, it feels like, which is where when you're running on the edge of something or you're running like on a vine, there's a little bit of get out of jail free card that's going on because you are a Na'vi. So it's like there's something stickier there than I think. And once I trusted it, because I didn't trust it. Every time I climbed, I was like, my balls started tingling and I was like, oh God, I'm going to fall. And then all of a sudden I was like, well, let me just try. And I found out there's something going on there and it feels good. And also the movement is a press and hold, which I've never seen in a Far Cry game before. And I hated it at first. Yeah, so if you try to jump normally, you go, and the guy's like, meh. But what happens is it's pretending you're getting your arms and your legs under yourself like a cat. And dude, and it leaping. Fucking rocks.
It's like Tony Hawk, man.
Yeah, it was like, you know, and bouncing off of stuff. And by that, once I figured that out, I was like, okay, I dig it. But it's just their presentation is, I mean, well, and it's also, I enjoyed what I played. You know, it's not like the best game ever, but I had a fun time because it was not Far Cry's just consistent spawn of enemies.
Thank God, yeah. Another thing I'm very, very curious about is so we know Ubisoft, we know they love their checklists and stuff. Is there some more natural exploration in this, or is it just the same kind of like checklisty?
So there is almost no checklist stuff. So I did see some people comparing it to Far Cry, and I guess I'll just say I feel that that's the easy way out, and that if somebody were to sort of statistically look at it, you would find less in common with this than in, well, even Horizon has more in common with Far Cry than this. No, there's not a lot of checklists. There's quests, but it's not, it just doesn't feel, it feels like an open world shooter, less so a Far Cry, in my opinion. I came out of it thinking, oh, this is not what I expected, and it feels less like a Far Cry. But I also counted comparisons. And I talk about it in the review. I'm like, yes, Far Cry has this, and this game has a weapon wheel, blah, blah, blah. But that's all open world shooters. Like, are we now just going to default to the easy way out and say, if it's from Ubisoft, we're going to compare it just to Far Cry? So I actually compared it to other games as well, like outside of because I actually think there's some adjustments there. For example, their HUD is dynamic and you can turn it off with no issues. So I had the HUD off for 80% of the time. By the way, somebody was saying that they thought I liked Far Cry 5. I do now, but I rated it a wait for a sale. I just wanted to verify. Yeah, so there's exploration, there's the writing of the animals, there's just a feeling of a little bit less of a the checklist thing is not really there. Collectibles are there, but they're for cooking. And
but you have to find them, like find the stuff.
Do you have to find the plant?
Like events in the world, like outposts. Do they appear when you're near them? Like how is it presented? How do they tell you, other than quests, how do they show you a point of interest?
Find them, there's dynamic stuff, and you find them, and you are sent. So all three types of
amazing
discovery happen.
That's good, really good to hear.
And when you're flying on the back of your Ikran or whatever, then you just find, then you find a base, and those bases are...
Is it because you see something in the distance?
Yeah.
They
don't like say, there is not a time that I remember at least where it says, here are the bases.
Oh, that's really good to hear, dude.
Yeah, it's just there's bases in places and you need to take them out, and they corrupt. So what you'll be doing is you'll be going through the forest and it's all lively and clean, and then over time it turns corrupted. So it reminds me a little of Far Cry 5 in that way, where Far Cry 5 had one spot that was burned out and destroyed. I think it wasn't Faith's. I think it was the other brothers, but that's what this does. And that's when there's a mine nearby. And then now to take out a mine, yes, you're doing a checklist because you need to destroy their computer and destroy it. Otherwise, just so everybody listening knows, if there was no checklist, you would just have to shoot the crane 1,000 times. So to me, having a checklist is quite literally the only way that it makes sense to fight that thing. Like, just hack this, destroy the spindle, turn the crank to overpressure it, what have you. Because if those weren't there, suddenly it's one giant life bar on a crane, and I got to tell you, that would be fucking horrible. Like that would kill my soul.
I have no problem with those. I just sometimes in Ubisoft games it's overwhelming to me. Even in Horizon, where it was like, oh, you got 8 cauldrons here and 0 out of 8 and 5
No,
out
that's
of...
I personally feel that that's not only not done, it's so separated that I said in the review, if you were you may be disappointed by the amount of combat, because it is absolutely on the opposite end of Far Cry. And I said,
Good.
for better or worse, everybody who complains about Far Cry's jackasses, infinite spawning Montana cars, where they just somehow are impregnated with racists that pop out every 2 seconds, that is not what happens in Avatar. It's exactly the opposite. And I did find myself hunting for a bad guy. There were times where I was like, dude, there's no bad guys right here. You know, like I've sort of destroyed this, you know, blah blah blah, and then you'll come upon groups that are killing some enemies and stuff like that. No, melee is tragic. There is up close. I don't know what that
melee,
means.
Right?
Yeah,
there is.
Yeah, but it's not like a sword. It's just you punching them, and you can knock them down. Then you get ancestral skills that are about combat. So like grabbing a guy out of his mech and throwing him to his death. The ability to jump and leap on somebody and smash them, because you are 8 foot. So you're like an 8 foot.
Yeah.
Like I said in the review, it's like Brock Lesnar beating up kindergartners. Like you go into a spot with humans, and if it's mostly humans, they're so small. They're dangerous though, because a gun will kill you quick.
Guns
will kill you quick. Yeah. Quick.
How's the stealth AI? Like when you're stealthing around and detection and that's...
Middling. Nope. There were times where I feel like I was doing great, and I'd put footage in there where I was sneaking up behind guys and I was tagging them and they weren't seeing it. Then there were a couple times where I feel like I was a ways away and they did see me. And so there's a possibility that they just have a farther cone of vision than we see in other games, because I for sure snuck up on people too. So it's just this, and I snuck up. I showed some video. I snuck up and I lobbed bombs at these guys that were below me, and I tried to be stealthy. That worked. There were a couple times where there'd be people on a plane, and my old way Far Cry has worked in the past is you almost triggered a bad guy, and they knew where you were, and the stealth aspect was there, but it was like in separate. It was its own thing. This seems like there's a combination where it's sort of middling, and maybe that middling is not the best idea. I don't know. It worked, because there were multiple guys I killed with an arrow, but you can't sneak up and stab them. Like, that's not the... there's no silent takedown kind of thing. Or at least I never was doing... You get the ancestral skills, but there's no, like, generic silent takedown. There's arrows, the lob bomb, which is hilarious. Because, dude, they see the lob bomb and they panic. And I also love, they added something I thought was cool, which was the guys have, the only way to describe it would be, the guys have this attitude. And so the mech rider, when you hear a mech rider, you're like sneaking up and there's a mech, you'll start seeing them dancing in place because they're happy to be in the mech. And so the guy will be like, ching, ching, let's take him down. And he's dancing. And I don't know why, but I was like, dude, that's awesome. Like, he's like excited to start a battle. He's like,
and you kill him.
But it was just this cool moment of like a weird anticipatory animation he had. And I was like, that's pretty awesome. I never, like, he was just excited. And it was like a gung-ho kid in a military mech. That was exactly what I got. And that was sort of what I was hoping they would deliver. But again, definitely lack of battle, definitely lower battle level than you might expect. More like Primal. For sure. More like Primal.
Yeah. One last question I have, for me personally, I do not give a shit about the Avatar IP. Do you think it hinges upon those themes too much, or assumes that you watched the movies, or does it, is it too fan servicey in that regard, or is it kind of its own thing?
Bobby also asked, can you get different arrows? Yes, you can. Some different ones.
Cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's an Avatar. It's canon. So you hear about Jake Sully. On the other continent, you hear about the other issues that are going on.
Is that the protagonist from
Avatar?
Right.
Yeah. So that's all. It's Avatar. I mean, it's the words are Avatar, and they've stated it is for sure canon. I didn't have an issue with that. I'm not a big Avatar fan, but I am a big beautiful world flying on the back of a dragon fan.
Yeah, that's what I like. Yeah. That's what's grabbing me, is the beautiful world,
and it's beyond belief. I mean, it is like I showed somebody a video this morning of it because they were asking me about it, and I showed them a little snippet, and they were like, there's no way that runs as well as I'm seeing right now. And I'm like, it runs better because that's filmed at 60 and it's getting 120 frames per second. It is ridiculous.
Cool.
It is ridiculous how well it runs and how good it looks. I mean, there are entire sections where you can't see the ground for a grass texture to look for because it is just grass. And it's, by the way, that's the other thing. They're popping. I don't know what they're doing. I haven't looked up Snowdrop, but whatever. Well, I mean, I have, but I haven't looked up this. Whatever they're using for pop-in, man, sometimes you'll get it, but there are tremendous times where you will be riding that thing or running, and there is zero pop-in, where the grass is all the way.
You almost never see that, ever.
Yeah, dude, I was shocked at what I was just like, wow, this thing is running. And, of course, that helps you get through anything like with story. It's slicker. You don't have to worry about a bug. But, like, the story wasn't the greatest, but it was delivered smoothly. Yeah.
How are, like, the characters on the side quests and stuff? Like, are there side quests?
There was an old guy who gives you, who invites you to dinner that I thought he was funny, but overall, I'm not a big Avatar fan. So it was like, you know, you fight your kids who were lied to, and now you're trying to rediscover your heritage, and that was that.
Sure.
Yeah. And it was like, here's the big bad guy. And I said in the review, that guy could have showed up wearing baby skins and he would have been less noticeable.
Oh, yeah. You said that. Yeah.
Dude, he trumps in. It's the craziest thing ever. You're like, that guy's the bad guy. Like, we should kill him right now and the story would be over. It's that bad. You know, it's that kind of foreshadowing. So what were you going to say? Sorry, I interrupted you.
Is it the type of thing where you recommend, like, skipping, or is it worth just kind of going around, even though it's not the best going on?
Oh no, I don't suggest skipping it because it unlocks quest stuff and you unlock the other clans that are there.
Scenes and dialogue.
No, I would listen to every cut. I listen to every cut. I mean, there's one. I don't know. I'm not foo-foo, but there's some nature stuff in there that I thought was pretty cool. You know, I mean, it's in your face. It's like, these guys, bad guys. These guys, always good guys. You know, and you're like, all right, that's not exactly how it works, but whatever. Especially because of some of the stuff, even in the original game, or the original movie, when Sully shows up, you already have the tribal guys fighting against each other. But, you know, that's ignored because it's like, oh, these guys are for sure the bad guys. It's like, well, your own group isn't really necessary. You know, it's like pot calling or calling kettle black. But, yeah, it was an okay story. It was an okay story, but it was fucking... I mean, I played it this morning, and I beat it. So it's just like, I'm just walking around and doing stuff in that game. I will do for a while just because I think that's really fun. I also liked picking plants and having to do it right. It sounds dumb, but it matters. That interests
me a lot.
It matters,
Is there hunting as well? Or
there's a ton of hunting, and both hunting and picking items can impact their quality. So, like, you'll lose quality. Nice. If you destroy a rabbit with a machine gun, you won't get anything, or it'll say unclean
and I like
kill.
How food gives you buffs and stuff like that. But it's not like you gotta eat to survive, right? Or is it?
You have to eat to get back your basic energy, but not health. And the energy is used for certain things.
I like
so that. It worked fine for me. But I mean, it's so beautiful.
Cool.
Dude, there's times where, like, and one other person was DMing me because they were playing it. They're like, dude, have you ever seen a game that even looked like, what game is close in the forest level? And I would say Horizon is close, and I like robots and dinosaurs better than Avatar. But from a technical standpoint, it's not even... Dude, it is so under the jungle that it feels like a lot of people will say there's too much jungle. And to me, that's exactly what I wanted. Like, if there was a hunter game that looked like that, dude,
so it is jungle. Are there other locations?
There's multiple
other thematic. Cool.
Yeah, there's multiple ecosystems.
I'm actually sold on that.
And the ecosystems matter. There's weather. Weather matters.
Yeah. Nice.
Lightning storms I saw hit multiple
mechanically, gameplay wise, matters.
Wow. Yeah, and there's animals that take advantage of it. I won't spoil much more, but there's like animals that use certain things to attack that have to do with the ecology.
Jesus.
So
that's really cool, man.
Yeah, it's definitely
a
unique game.
Team behind it?
Massive Division.
Oh shit!
Yeah. That's
and
why
they're doing Star Wars.
Yeah, and that's why. I mean, and some people said the scores indicate they're worried about about Star Wars, and I got to say, my experience is now I am much less worried about Star Wars. And now, whether that turns out, because what I've seen of Star Wars isn't exactly overlays with this. I think they were headed in one way with this, and they're headed in one way with Star Wars.
Division music is top tier.
And the music was awesome. Yeah, dude. It was. I mean, the voices were pretty crap. They were not crap, but they were generic.
I love Massive, man. I don't think I've disliked the Massive.
No, Massive
game.
has an incredible
I've been playing a lot of Division 2.
Yeah. I've been playing Division 1, and I'm still,
Dude, I reached the end game, and it's just ridiculous how much content there is. But anyways, sorry.
No, what were you gonna say for Division 2?
Just that for Division 2, I reached the end game, and obviously there's this new roguelike dungeon, and there's like a really cool 100-floor tower thing, and there's these raids, and then there's these like events that happen, and then like some dungeon can be invaded, and you can do there's so much to do in the end game, which is really, really cool. And you can level up further and gain more bonuses. It's really cool.
Also, I want to say real quick, I did notice this morning. Thank you. We had about 6 new patrons, and I appreciate it. It does help the channel, but it's also cool to see people sort of jumping in and being surprised. We had somebody come in and they were like, this place is awesome. And it sort of does my heart good, because I'll be like, oh, everybody's getting a little negative or whatever. There's something that's popped up, or people are worried about Rogue Trader, and then somebody new pops in. It's like, everybody's just talking about games. This is so
dude, I was
safe.
crushing everyone's hopes and dreams. I've been doing this for the past year for this game in particular, Warhammer, because I know Outcast, and people were like, no, it's gonna be, they learned with the other 2 games, and I'm like, every time. I don't know
every
why.
time they're buggy every time. It's just sort of their thing.
It's their thing. Yeah.
Bobby Hawk, in your review, do you talk about what you can do when you hunt animals in the game? Like, what do you get for killing them? I do. Yeah. I mean, most of what you get for killing them is just items that you then upgrade, cook. And cooking is fast, which I thought was interesting. It doesn't. You know what I loved? I loved Monster Hunter's initial cooking animation, but then you skip it. You don't want to see cats dancing around, throwing, fish up in the while. You know what I mean? After a while, you're like, whatever.
I skipped it after like the second time.
Yeah.
It's cool. But I've skipped it.
I also thought this was interesting because the clans have their own kind of supplies for upgrading, where you turn it in and then your reputation goes up. But the humans have a different one. And it sounds dumb, but I was actually congratulations, guys, for taking the extra step of not everybody needs food, because why does the resistance need food? Instead, they need scrap metal. And it's a small thing, but I was like, oh, okay. So if you're going to fight and decide who you want to give supplies to, it'll be the Na'vi themselves as their clans, or separately, it's given it to the resistance and the human. And I was just, I don't know. It was just one more little thing that I liked.
Ban this dude because he's being a racist dipshit. One sec. Ooh.
We get the occasional racist dipshit. I apologize for anybody who has to see that,
dude.
And that's about it for Avatar, man. I think Wild One says, is the story better than Far Cry, let's say 5, and would you recommend Uplay? I would recommend Uplay for everything. And by the way, that's what I'm doing right now, is recommended Uplay. Maybe I should have made that more clear in the review. I think it was worth getting. I have no issue with it, but Uplay is amazing. Why not just get something on Uplay for $15? And if you decide to buy it, they give you a deal anyway. I can't remember what it is, but I think it's 20% off. So it's like, just do Uplay,
Yeah. I mean, I got it from Mirage, and I just forgot to cancel it. So it's, still got it. But now, because it was either between I was either going to start Warhammer or Avatar tomorrow, and I think I'm set on Avatar, and I'm just going to wait for patches, because one of them works.
One of them works, and the other one not so much.
Yeah. Was there something else you liked the gunplay? I saw that.
I liked it, but it wasn't great shakes. It was just, it worked. It was fun. I hate how they hold the guns, but they hold it like same thing I saw in the movies, and I'm sure they're copying the movies, but they hold it in a weird way, almost like the bow, but as a gun, which is not. There's something really crusty about the way he holds the gun until you aim down the sights, and it was bothering me the entire time I was playing. I was like, dude, I just don't like this. It looks goofy. But combat is it's okay to good, just depends on the AI and how it reacts, because sometimes the AI is just stuck. And it's like, and then other times they're flanking you, and you get shot in the back.
It's a little up and down.
Yeah, it's a little wishy-washy. I will say, dropping the bombs though, and watching somebody panic and like trying to not come that way is awesome, because and then one of the friends who hasn't seen it, there's obviously information pass, because if a friend hasn't seen it, and that enemy will run into it, but the guy who's like the mech or the person who saw it drop won't go into it.
Okay.
And so there was this one guy where the guy's like trying to figure out a way around something that I trapped, and he just and blew up and damaged him anyway. And I was like, that was pretty fun. It was cool to see that it wasn't like all enemies are alerted of everything if one person sees something. At least
how
that's
big is it?
Huge.
Huge. You can spend like 100 hours in it type thing?
No, I did like 35. I didn't do 100%, but I did like 35, and I still had stuff that well, that's another thing. I don't think this is talking. I don't think we had an NDA for what we can talk about, right? I don't think we did. So there wasn't really a thing that counted as much as you would expect in a lot of 100%. You have 98 of these.
I don't give a fuck about that.
But no, what I'm saying is it's nice. It wasn't.
It's
really
nice, yeah.
There.
Not everything is like counted.
So the idea of going around and grabbing everything, I don't know how long that would take. I don't know how long that would take. And I'm sure I missed at least one or two, I guess you call them mini bosses, because I heard of one and I still haven't found it.
Oh, sure, okay.
Yeah. So there's cool. Some of those. Found some, but yeah. And yeah, so I don't know. I don't think you mentioned it. Is the game repetitive? Yes. All games are repetitive. So there is repetition in this. That is the game part. It is for sure going to be repetitive. At some point, you are going to go, I just did another base. I can't think of a game that is not repetitive. And I can't think of a game that I loved that I still didn't go,
some feel more or less repetitive than the others, but obviously there's always a gameplay loop. Like even Elden Ring, there's always like a catacombs. There's always like the thing where you kill something and then you go down the stairs. There's always repetition, but I guess if it feels like it's getting stale, it becomes more apparent that it's like just repetition.
And it's funny you mention that, because I actually felt Elden Ring, I got stale, not in that kind of stuff, but like, because I was grinding that one giant that I found outside a fucking village. You know, you sleep and the giant pops up and they're $1,000. I think they're 1,000 XP or whatever. So I just kept riding my horse. But, you know, it's just like, kill him, go back, sleep, kill him, go back, sleep. And so I actually, but to me, that's sort of just a game. Like, I don't know any other way to describe it.
As a loop.
Yeah. And this is an open world game, so it's for sure going to, I mean, there's, it's for sure open world. What have you been playing, by the way?
So there's today actually I played two things. I tried out the Halo Infinite firefight mode, which is fun as hell. You just go in there, 3 other dudes. You can do heroic or normal mode. And
so it is a spawn based, or I mean, level based.
It's like a big multiplayer level, King of the Hill. And then enemies rush you, try to attack you, and it gets progressively harder, and more enemies rush you. And there's like mini bosses that come down. It's really, really fun. I think Halo Infinite gunplay is some of the best. Those guns sound and feel fucking amazing, and killing shit just
that was not their problem, right?
Amazing. Yeah, that was not their problem for sure. I logged into the game. I haven't logged in since in the multiplayer portion. I haven't logged in since launch, and I have all these cool skins and shit out of nowhere. I think I had a battle pass or something, and they gave me all of them. The other game I played today, which is really, really cool, is called Blood West. Another West game.
I saw that pop up. Yeah,
it came out of early access. It's full release. I was waiting for it for a while. It's kind of has some thief qualities to it. And Garrett Vase is the protagonist, but it's very, very cool. So it's like low poly, old looking, and it's kind of an MSim. I'll say MSim light or whatever. Who the fuck knows what an MSim is anymore? But the enemies, what I mean by that is like the biggest simmy thing about it is that enemies don't appear to have like a set path thing. They all appear simulated. So let's say like there's enemies roaming around in like the house, you throw a rock over in the distance, they like run out and then they start pathing in that area and stuff. Like, you know what I mean? There's like a lot of different, but it's really, really fun. I think it's a game where I still have no idea what's going on. The voice acting is pretty cool. It's kind of retro voice acting, but it feels cool. It has that like cool edge to it. It's set in the, you know, kind of not Wild West era type shit. And what's really cool about it is it does have this thief thing where you go in and you can find loot in certain places, dig under like cupboards and shit and get loot. And I love the inventory system because it reminds me a lot of Tarkov. There's this risk versus reward. The game is especially starting out when you're like low level, it's like Elix, where like sometimes you do have to run away, like you don't have enough ammo.
Okay. Yeah.
You know, everything you use up kind of goes away. And there's Tetris inventory system with like nested bags and stuff you can get, and like kind of organize your stuff so that you could sell it later to buy better stuff.
You said it was retro looking or retro?
Yeah, kind of like Old Thief, kind of like that type of like those devs that make those like Dusk and stuff like that. What's really cool, what interests me a lot, is also the death mechanic, and it's very, very unique.
Your
with
death or the enemy's death?
Your death.
Okay.
The way it works, you don't lose your inventory or anything upon death. You don't reload a save. What happens is that you respawn at your last like kind of resting area. Some enemies respawn, some don't. It's kind of random, and some are like time-based respawning. But what happens is you get a third of a curse. So let's say one of the curses could be like you earn less XP upon killing enemies, and then at like 2 out of 3 you earn like less than 10 XP, and then 3 out of 3 it's like less than 20% XP. And then the only way to take off that curse is to like get these feathers and then use those with a certain thing, which I found really cool because it's like a risk versus reward type of thing, and it's not the same old like Soulsy type.
Right.
Oh, you got to run back to your body. Now you get to keep your inventory. You can just die and like sell your stuff. It's pretty fun, man. It's a lot, very exploration heavy. You just go where you want. Some people have quests for you, and it's all about just killing enemies and looting, or if you want to sneak past enemies to loot, or you see like you always have to assess like, okay, my inventory, I have this amount of bullets, I have like dynamite, I have all this, can I take on this encounter, should I sneak past them? And there's all these neat little stuff, and I'm enjoying it.
Back to Halo real quick though, because
sure.
So it's 3 people and it's wave based.
Yeah.
Right? So in each wave, what happens between the waves? So you kill the enemies. What occurs? Do you build bases, or do you like what happens?
No, it's nothing like Gears of War where you like
that's what I'm thinking,
invest in like defensive. Yeah, there's nothing like that. But like the King of the Hill spot changes across the map.
Yeah, I did hear about that.
And you fight a bunch of waves, and then once the bar is done for the thing, it moves to another thing. You have some time. Special weapons do drop every once in a while once you're done with like a certain wave, and you can go get like the sniper rifle or the rocket launcher or whatever drops.
So most of the drops or most of the activity between waves is then you just ammoing up.
Yes, also that's another thing. It's you don't have the most ammo in the world. Like you're gonna run out, and you're gonna have to pick up weapons on the floor. It's all about continually changing your weapons.
It's just the freeform combat of like Halo with the
exactly wave. Yeah.
And then
very enjoyable.
You get different sets of bad guys, so like you might get grunts one time, and then grunts mixed with what do you call it,
mixed with other types.
Do you ever
like
get
flying?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask.
Yeah, like flying what do you call them, juggernauts or whatever. No. Oh yeah, I didn't see any enemy vehicles other than the big ship that enemies drop off from, but mini bosses do spawn where it's like big dudes. Sometimes hunters come out. I've seen mix between like what were the arbiter guys, and then like the other dudes, like the brutes.
And so when somebody dies, how's death treated? Are they dead forever? Can you heal them? What happens?
You have a limited amount of spawns for yourself, but your friends can always hit, go to you and hit E to respawn you.
Okay. And
even if you run out.
Even if you run, okay.
Yeah.
And this is all in a big level that somebody built, like it's contained, like a arena.
Yeah, those are like the classic. I did 2 of them, and 2 of them were in classic multiplayer levels. I don't know if there's like Forge in it yet. I haven't checked all that out, but the 2 that I played were in like one of them was in the classic from Halo 1, like the big one. What was it?
Two valleys or 2 towers or whatever it was called.
Valhalla, Val something, whatever, I forgot. And the other one was another iconic one. Yeah.
And then weapons wise, you get Covenant and human and the other brutish guys, like the revolver. I've seen like a lot of the new weapons that are infinite. Like there's one where it's like kind of Dead Space where you go between vertical and horizontal.
Yeah, a bunch of stuff. There's a lot of weapons in that game. I've seen a bunch in those two games. Yeah.
And can you use the grapple in that level, or is there places to use the grapple?
Yep. You can use the grapple. You could switch it out for other stuff that you find in the map. Yep.
Interesting. I don't know if I'm gonna, but I did see another write-up on it, a random write-up, and what they were talking about actually just seemed like good dumb fun. Like, not gonna change my life or anything, but just good dumb. Looked like it was
Horde modes
an
are always
improvement.
fun.
Yeah. I guess I don't know what you would do between, other than, I think, was it called Firefight that was in Halo 4 or 5 or whatever, and they were episodic once every and I can't remember what you did there. Maybe those were just battles, right?
Yeah. They did. I wish, man. I like, one of my favorite things about these types of game modes, like in Gears, at least in the first 3, was just see how many waves you can do infinitely.
Oh, that was going to be the question.
I love that shit. I wish.
Even on on Legendary, I died. I'm not going to lie and say I was that good, but we could beat the game in Legendary and all that stuff, and a lot of people can. Are these guys hard? Or how does it add difficulty? Is just the number of people and where they land?
I played the normal. There's normal and heroic playlists. The normal was fairly easy. The heroic, there were a ton more enemies. Like, I'd see like fucking like 10 brutes coming at me all at once. Sometimes you can get yourself in bad situations. Obviously, they do more damage. You do less, like in heroic. But I haven't lost. I don't know if it's because I got lucky with teammates. I did die a bunch of times for sure.
You said you haven't lost, as in you guys didn't. We won. You won the thing, and then winning gets you the typical XP. Halo. It gets you XP, which then goes into the career mode or whatever.
Yeah, leveling your guy or whatever.
So
I haven't looked into how they changed that
in that way.
Yeah, it looks like I read somewhere that it does give you a lot of XP. I'm pretty sure it's like featured or something as well, but I didn't, since launch, I haven't seen how they, because I had issues with how the XP system worked at launch, and I had issues with how they handled like earning stuff. I didn't look into like progression systems as much. Yeah, I just tried the game mode.
Yeah, I mean, the stuff I saw said it was awesome, so I definitely want to try it out. I like their combat.
Best season,
That's what I heard too, was that people were saying it was one of the best. Q says, I might be wrong. Dopey Joe says question. I said Q says. He says, might be wrong, but was the promotion for Avatar really low? I've barely seen anything about it. The reviews dropped today. If they have been hardly promoting it, any idea why? You would think a massive franchise like that would get pushed, but maybe I'm not seeing ads. We talked about this not only around this game, but we actually talked about it in the last couple of weeks. I think a lot of it's influencers. I think that's what we saw with Lords. We've seen it here. I think that we're going to continue to see it. And if those guys aren't being watched, or there's GTA news, because I'm sure people showed up not because of the Avatar review, but because I put GTA breakdown in so it depends on when you release. But yeah, Ubisoft didn't really push it, but I don't know if I would see that they did. Like, that's one thing, is I don't know
shit.
Yeah, but I mean, I didn't see a lot for Mirage either. And
I didn't see a lot for Mirage, but Avatar is Avatar. I saw more for Mirage than I did for Avatar.
I mean, Avatar also got delayed, so maybe it's that. Maybe they realized, hey, we've missed our launch, because Avatar got delayed. So it's like maybe they missed their launch window, and so therefore it's just like, I mean, they hired a bunch of influencers to come play it less than a month and a half ago. So it's just weird to me, because Avatar is such a big franchise outside of gaming. I'd imagine they'd want to market it to like non-gamers as well, but I haven't seen. TB says Sony is promoting it on YouTube. Okay, well there you go. There you go. I mean, maybe how we get ads or what we've watched in the past, it's looking, and maybe it just doesn't think we're interested. I don't know. It's a good question, and it's popped up a bunch of times. I think advertising is changing hugely in a very fast way.
There's way more and there's way more cost efficient ways to market stuff nowadays with influencers and all that stuff.
I mean, think about it. So for me, $60 is what they lose to me by giving me a free game, the possibility of me buying it, or $15 for a subscription. That's all they lose. But I have a a certain like audience of this many people who are for sure going to watch, plus avatars. And by the way, the video is doing awesome, so it's like obviously people are interested even beyond the channel. So it makes sense for them versus putting it on a fucking bus in New York, which they might do. But it's true. Like, who are you? I mean, at that point, you're some random guy on the streets just walking around going, man, I want to get into games right at that moment and see his avatar.
Don't go outside.
Yeah, well, that
all know this.
Yeah, that too. And I said walking. Can't believe I said a guy would be walking.
Walking, not even on a fucking...
Not on a scooter or Segway or what have you.
Not on a fucking Segway, dude.
Yeah, or in the back of their, their driverless car. Bad Toy, question. What side character from an existing game would you like to see a total spin-off game made? For me, I'd like to see a spin-off featuring Sadie from Red Dead 2.
Ooh, Sadie's a good one.
Micah.
Micah.
I don't care what anybody says.
Prologue.
I do.
Oh,
yeah.
Like an actual evil
It'd be called a prologue,
like no
though,
redeeming.
for that guy.
Yeah.
A prologue.
no redeeming quality.
No redeeming quality is just the villain. Here's the bad, just like the Avatar review. The bad guy, the dude, he's here. A Micah a Micah side 5-hour story would be. I would love that. Is there any?
Cool. There's Kim from Disco Elysium, but he was. I love him.
Kim was awesome.
This is the partner. There's
I felt bad for Kim. Let's talk about Disco Elysium just for a second. I felt bad for him. Yeah, because he tries to help you. Like he comes to sort of understand what's going on, and he's still doing his thing, and you're doing yours. I sort of felt bad for him because I was coming across as such a dick in that game. Yeah. And so mentally unstable because you are in that game. And this guy is like over there, trying to figure out if he's going to report on you, and don't you call, or he call you or him call the police
station.
chief, and it's like
they
this
make fun of you. It's like, what's my name?
Right. It's this yes, exactly. It's this uncomfortable thing. I felt bad for him. I was like, dude, trying to figure out what's right and what's wrong. So sorry. So not Kim though. Did you have one?
Dude, I swear to God, I thought about this before. Let me think of the games I played.
Pavardi, I think.
Dude,
we talked about.
Oh, dude. Oh man, Tim Breaker or Mr. Door from Alan Wake, or just like one of them, because one of them for sure, because there's interesting shit there. I don't know if they'll do it in DLC, but that's something that would be really cool.
Big Villain, 2023 was a great year for game releases, but what do you all think were the standout innovations, if any, be it game mechanics, sound, or level design, genre bending? What stood out that you'd love to see iterated on future titles this year?
This year? Tears of the Kingdom, I saw a lot of really cool, very interesting
building stuff,
new concept, the building stuff, just building whatever you want and having it function.
For me, I would say that Alan Wake did some stuff with music and video and things that occurred. Not to be a spoiler, but I don't know how you would do that in another game unless they just copied the idea. But I think that there was stuff there was a lot of innovations in that game when it came to presentation of story that I did not expect. Yeah. I mean, anybody who's played it knows what I'm talking about. But there's like a couple
I'd like
moments
to see,
where
like combining all different medias to have each one kind of play a very big role in the story, like everything from even the music lyrics, everything like kind of supplemented what was going on, which was really cool to see. Thinking of like other games that like really innovated.
I mean, the building, I would say, in Zelda is freeform enough. And we even talked about it where sometimes you didn't even build it well enough because you knew you could play it and figure it out with like the fans on a stick. You'd just be like, go for it, bitch. I'm trying.
Yeah.
So I think that, I mean, Zelda's definitely.
Yeah, I like the idea of just like kind of giving you just tools and just not a lot of constraints.
Yeah.
Just be like, run wild with it.
Just let you go do your thing. Yep.
With just like impeccable physics.
Yeah, physics that were that were overstated enough to make a difference in the game world, but understated enough that a slight mistake the player could balance or do something to offset. Like this. Yeah, dude, I was on a stick, and I don't think I even put the wheels on the proper ending because I hadn't got it down yet that you could snap to the end of a stick. and it was rolling like this, you know, and I'm on there going, and I was still steering it, like, because I could, your brain can go, it's not going to steer straight, but I know how Zelda moves, and I know how a stick probably will go wrong, and I'm going to try to steer, and I steered it anyway. I took out enemies with it, so it's like, yeah, that was awesome.
This isn't really innovation per se, but I think something that Hogwarts Legacy did really, really well is just how lively kind of moving through an area is, like how students were interacting and doing stuff, and you'd see those mini events, like the kids stealing shit from the fireworks from the little toy store, and then seeing them use it later. And there was a lot of neat stuff. Like everything felt super lively. Like you weren't like it wasn't like a ghost town. And it wasn't very static. It was very, very dynamic. I like to see more of that for sure.
Yeah, because how many games do we play, whether it be open world or whatever, and you know, like I joke about it, same 12 people, same whatever, and you're like, man, it doesn't. I wish they'd figure this out. That's why Starfield, I think, nailed it with how big their cities are. I mean, the first time I jumped into every city in Starfield, I was like, dude, there's so many people here. It's so awesome to finally see Bethesda actually put people in their cities. Because
like
I was
actual civilization and not like post-apocalypse or pre.
I mean, dude, you go to Fallout, what is it, Megaton? Right? And you go to Megaton, and at first you're like, wow, this is great. And then you realize there's like 9 fucking people that matter. And
I didn't realize as a kid because
Skyrim. I went to Skyhold or whatever, the one on the cliff, and I was like, this is the fucking greatest place ever. And I go in and I talk to the 9 people or whatever, and then you realize that's it. Like those are the, you know, and with Atlantis, right? Yeah, Starfield, Atlantis was just, man, or Neon even. Going into Neon, and there's hidden places in Neon to walk around. I was like, dude, this is, you know, I would say it may not be innovation for anybody else, but it is for Bethesda. That was a huge step up. All the other issues I have with Starfield aside, their city, the places that they created were way more interesting to me than I think. I'm trying to think. I would say Megaton was awesome, but that might be the only place I've really gravitated towards in one of their games.
I liked Rivet a lot, but it was more like because
you did?
Of the thematic.
Why? Oh wait, Rivet. I'm sorry, not Riverby or whatever. The little town in Skyrim. You're talking about the ship. Yeah, that was sweet. Oh,
but it was more so because of like like, dude, Megaton was a fucking city built around a nuclear bomb in the middle. Like it's just the design, or like the uniqueness, like how they thought about it was really, really cool. That's like most of why I really liked it. Yeah.
I asked people what they thought, what games that they had innovation or whatever, and actually prior to that, Hogwarts was brought up multiple times. Yeah. Hogwarts is definitely it's been brought up as like being a busy city that they really like.
Yeah. Also very innovative combat system. Like I have not seen a combat system like that in a game.
It was better than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
We talking about Hogwarts?
Unique. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like it was like it kind of, I know that like this, you're gonna find this weird, but the mechanic of it, there was something similar to like Final Fantasy 14, because there's like in Final Fantasy 14 you have like your off GCDs, you have like your special abilities, and then you have your normal kind of combo, and you like weave them in. And I loved how you weave in like the normal shots into like a combo. Like you go like boom, and then shot, and then another ability, and then shot.
Yeah.
And then you can go 2 abilities in the row. There's a very nice rhythm to it that you can get into like a flow, and I really, really enjoyed that.
Yeah. Hogwarts had like a couple surprises that I was really not expecting until I played it. I was quite impressed. AC Syndicate was a cool map. I agree, RG. Ghetto Taco, $2 super chat. Any hope for Stalker 2? Concerned or excited?
Oh, I'm excited, man.
I'm excited. I haven't seen anything about it that looks questionable other than their own business problems that they've run into where they are, the war and stuff like that.
For sure.
Like, that sucks. I mean, it's just like, but
they're going above and beyond for that game, dude. Like that's like a huge passion project, it looks like.
Yeah. Oh, somebody mentioned Bowerstone and Fable is one of their favorite cities. Yeah, Bowerstone's cool. Grand Soren in Dragon's Dogma. Yeah, it's one of my favorite, man. It's also terrible, but it's one of my favorite.
Is that the first city after like delivering the whole?
Yes. Yeah. And it was it's like, dude, it's that dire no one's there, just like we talked about, where you
Right,
walk into
yeah.
that first and there's like 3 stores and 2 dudes who look like there was a lot of inbreeding to make them both, you know, and
Sure.
you're like,
Yeah. The
but
verticality was cool though in that city.
yeah, and remember you
Yeah.
could go out the ass end of it and there was the fields and the people working in the fields and you could leave the other side of the city, but at the same time,
Yeah.
it was
And you got like
good and
sewers
bad.
and shit.
Mhm.
Like you got like the whole underground area.
Yeah, Dragon's Dogma, it was more about the theme of that place and the atmosphere than it was the city itself. It was, and you go into the courtyard above to talk to the king or whatever, and it's just like two guards. Almost spit my mint out, but it's like 2 guards standing there, maybe 6 or 7 other people, and you're just like, this is really empty. Like, this guy runs this place. Why? They don't even need a leader. There's so few people. They don't even need somebody to lead them. But such is life. Novigrad in Witcher.
Novigrad's cool.
Disappointing for me, gotta admit.
What
a little
disappointed
bit.
you at the time?
I think it's because I liked the rural areas so much in Witcher. Dude, they got their geography. They fucking understood like slant rock geography. They understood like how an earthquake might hit and how it might cause a valley here and a mountain over here. It was all like all their actual landscape and terrain and the build up to get to the city was amazing. Seeing little things indicating traversal and people were there. And then I got to the city and it was just a lot of dudes going like, hey, you know. I don't know. It was filled. It was filled. It had a good population, but I don't know. Yeah, I just came out of it.
I
was
think
like,
my favorite thing about it was just the events, like the quests you do there and shit.
Yeah.
There's like a lot of cool stuff and the Undercity or whatever. And
cool, you know what it also could have been, dude? I thought the first village with the guy who was doing Gwent, very first play, like that little baby village.
The dwarf that
I actually was so impressed by the little idiosyncrasies with that I think. And wasn't one kid being mean to another kid or something? Like there was like some bullying. There was something else going on.
Yeah, there's a lot of life. Even when it rains, you'll see NPCs run into their
cover
houses
their heads or run in. Yeah, I think I was just so impressed with that. And then the rural part was just, dude, the amount of work. I mean, man, they understood. I mean, who knows if it was them simulating or what, but just the geography, the way everything was put together, it's like Red Dead, where
Skellige was like my favorite.
Now, which one's that one?
Game. It's like the island. It looks like Skyrim. It's very mountainy, colder. It's like towards the end of the game, where you find Ciri. Yeah,
after Bloody Baron or before Bloody Baron?
After
Bloody Baron. Okay, yeah,
for sure.
Yeah,
I don't know. Maybe you can go before, but it's higher level for sure. But
you mean quests you get like and stuff are higher level? But I'm sure you could probably go there. They had a pretty open world where you could go.
Yeah, there's a quest early where it's like go to Skellige level 30. So I'm sure you can probably get there somehow. I forgot exactly how it was, but I loved that area. I thought that region was really cool.
Next up, Ed says, if there's something new to gaming. Ed says, if there's someone new to gaming, playing on any of the new consoles, what do you say if or when they ask, how do you pause the game?
Huh?
I mean, I say push the pause button if there is a pause, but I'm trying to figure out if there's a joke about games not having pause right now.
Oh, like an online online game?
Yeah, you know, like Dark Souls. Yeah. I don't know the joke, Ed. You may just be saying, what do I say? And I say, press the button right beside the face buttons, and that's the closest button. That's usually pause.
Sure.
Now they have 2 menus a lot of times: character menu and all the shit, and then your system, subsystem, save and load.
Or sometimes you have to like press the start. You go into the character menu. You have to press a button to go in the settings menu, and then you gotta go to exit.
Or you just lie and be like, "There is no pause. You got to stay here, man. Piss in your hand.
Yeah, just stay there." Yeah.
And you put up something that I don't understand. This Twitter, man.
Sure.
From Fantastic. What is this about?
Oh God. Oh man.
It's about something. It's about something big. Because I don't even know what this is.
We all know the day before, right? This is the game coming out tomorrow.
Zombie game?
The very, very sus game.
Mm-hmm.
and they've copied a bunch of trailers. We've
they
had a
copied
bunch of DayZ clones that said they were doing this and that, but came out and they were lame. Everyone's speculating about this game. There's been a lot, even on this podcast. Maybe they do watch this podcast where we were like, is this game a scam? There's a lot of questioning. Obviously, they haven't taken money yet from anybody, so like it wouldn't make sense if it was a scam. It is releasing to early access tomorrow, so it's not full release, which I just found out, and I'm not really bummed. I'm very curious if this game is actually. But anyways, they released like a whole post on Twitter where they're kind of thanking their fans or whatever, and and then it's like there's a whole section about to a person who doesn't believe in us, and they go like, okay, please forgive us for not doing the best marketing and teasers. So basically, please forgive us for straight up ripping other trailers. We learn stuff and improve ourselves. Please don't accuse us of scamming. That's not true. We didn't take a penny from anyone. Please don't accuse us of asset flip. That's not true. Our team worked day and night for years to make our dream game a reality. A bunch of shit. So they posted that, and that was, I found that interesting. I've seen way too many DayZ clones. This, honestly, one thing I do like this game for is, one thing I like about it is that it kind of gives me nostalgia to like 2013, 2014, seeing all the crazy DayZ clones coming out. And it'll be interesting to see. I don't know if there's been a review of it, or I guess it's coming out on early access, so there has been no embargo, but it's going to be interesting to see what that fucking game is. So,
The only experience I have with something that reminds me of this is, and this is the joke Rogério and I pass around all the time about Praise the Sun, because Battle for the Sun, one of the worst games I ever played, and I reviewed it, and their devs popped into the chat and popped into YouTube comments and were like, thank you, we'll learn from this. There was no, I destroyed it. I was like, oh my, what the is this? Like, this is the worst, blah, blah, blah. And I realized there might be people out there that don't follow all this stuff. They don't whatever. And I'm not, by the way, in any way, shape, or form saying it's not even a scam or saying that they didn't copy people. I'm just like, maybe there is a chance that they just want to release this, and this was early. Seems that they could have done this afterwards, and they could have said, this is why we continued with this, with all the, bullshit going around about it. But I don't know. It seems like a weird timing for a thing. Like, why release it? I don't know. It's a completely confusing game. I just have no clue what's actually happening.
Very confusing.
It's very confusing.
Do not know what to expect.
No.
I don't
I'll check it out. Maybe they want you to check it out. Do you think maybe it's all the scam is to get you to buy it and then forget to return it or play it because it's bad and they want to make the money from that or something?
I don't even know.
It's roundabout.
First of all, we don't know the price of this game. Second of all, I don't like, when I think about it, it's like, dude, it looks like a scam, but how would they, like, what would be like, it's coming tomorrow. People can see, they can refund. They can see other people's thoughts on it. They haven't gotten money from anyone. They do make good points. I'm still very skeptical, because I'm always skeptical of like survival MMO zombie game. It just has that trifecta. But it'll be interesting, man. It'll be interesting
what
to see.
I'm going to be excited to see.
Is good.
Who knows if this happens? But it would be amazing to start playing it and be like, "Hey, man, it's actually not half bad," and be like,
"Yeah,"
or that would be the greatest moment. Yeah, because it wouldn't remove all the shit we've seen, but it would give you the idea that, like, there's a thought process there of everybody learning and being like, "This is not something you should do. This is not something you should do." Blah blah blah, and how do you go about it? But I don't even know. I used to track it a little bit. And all I ever heard was they're copying these people, so it's a scam. And I was like, well, that's not a scam. That's improper.
They copied Division, Last of Us, and GTA, I'm pretty sure.
And in more ways than others who copy them, right? Because we all know that multiple multiple companies copy each other, and we've seen that. Yeah. You just said it with like DayZ, 87 Raft. It's like, oh, here's a thing, stab a fucking, use a spear, chop a tree down by punching it. You're like, all right, we know what this is. I just want to play it. I just want to play it and see, and I'll certainly refund it if it.
Yeah, sucks, I'm curious about it, man. I'm very curious.
I'm very curious because it's just an anomaly in how everybody else does stuff. So many people do it and are quiet, and they're not quiet, I guess.
Yeah.
They're like the loud friend who's like, come at me, bitch. And you're all,
Because
is that person dangerous?
At the end of the day, that type of game does appeal to me. It's just
me too.
Other than maybe DayZ has gotten better over time, but no one's really been able to seriously nail it. And there's a lot of cool interactions that happen in like in a multiplayer environment where everyone's out to survive. You don't know if this guy's gonna kill you or friend you. A lot of cool shit can happen, like very dynamic stuff outside of the control of the dev, and I love that type of stuff. It needs a good base. It needs a good foundation for it all to really be good.
Toasty Tony, $2 super chat once again. Got to start at the beginning, but gang. Thank you very much, man. I appreciate the super chats. They do help. I would say also this game might be one where we jump into it and if there is a solid base, there's going to be a huge question. And this scam thing pops up a lot, where scam is misused completely, where it's not a scam, it's distasteful. But a scam is 100% different than distasteful. In fact, there are many tasteful scams, as in everything appears tasteful, but the very last step is the not tasteful part of it. And this one's just been so dirty and so nasty and so weird that I'm just excited to finally, even if I don't play it, to have people tell me, be like, oh man, I can't wait if somebody plays it and if it's playable and people are like, dude, there's something here. That would be so weird to be post that game and see how it's going to turn out.
It's like the best DayZ clone ever made and it's better than DayZ.
Then the big question would be, how much bigger and better would it be if they had not done that? And the question after that is, does it teach us the poor lesson, which is it might make sense to do that for some nefarious actors? Yeah,
maybe the controversy helped with marketing. We've been talking about very interesting ways to market, and I mean, it's the second most wishlisted game on Steam right now.
No shit.
Yeah.
What? Under what? Under what?
I don't know.
So it's second. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous.
Top wishlisted games on Steam. Let's see.
I don't even know what to say to that.
The Finals is the first one, and then the day before, and then Hades 2, and then Manor Lords, and then Silk Song, and then Arc 2, Black Myth Wukong, Stalker 2, Frostpunk. Yeah, the Finals, and then the day before is the second one. Yeah. Oh my god, Stalker 2 has a page, dude.
Also, this reminds me of there was another game. It slipped my mind twice. There was another game that was coming up, and people were just like, scam. It turned out not to be one. It just, it appealed to every thought process in your head that it was a scam, right? It just it's one of those things. We saw it. The big discussion right now that's going to happen until 2026 or whatever is, of course, Star Citizen. Because Star Citizen was considered a scam for a long time, even though you talk to people like Indio or myself, where I spent money and got my fun out of it. Am I playing the game yet? The full game? No. But did I get my $40 for the ship out of that time period? Yes, I did. And it does look like it's going somewhere. So it's like, when it all gets said and done, what are we going to say about that game too? Because scam to me really does mean something different than dirty or clumsy, very poorly done, really bad ideas.
A scam would be illegal. Like an actual scam would be.
Scam comes
like
up as being sued. Yeah, it comes up as being illegal.
It's definitely a hyperbole word, for sure.
Yeah, and it's used correctly in some place. And probably there are times where, if we talked about it enough, where I'd be like, we should be using scam for this, and we're not, And that bothers me too sometimes, where I see somebody do something, I'm like, how is nobody bitching about this?
Usually
just get away with it.
I feel like usually when people say like, oh, this game's a scam, it's usually when it's presented in a different light. Like the trailers look way better than what the actual game people think is going to be, where they go like, oh, this is a scam because they're lying to us and showing us that, misleading us basically, that this is the gameplay that we're going to get on release,
Elo Games says, hey, ACG, loved your review. It's getting bad ratings online. Seeing your views made me want to pick it up. I gotta say, I would love to take, I said this in the Discord because somebody said the same thing. I would love to take credit, but the fact is that a bunch of people have given it really high reviews above mine. So I don't know what to say. All the big places I checked gave it a score that I think is fair, which was like 7.5 and above. So I don't know where all the bad reviews are, other than when I checked, there were a lot of small places, and they weren't places that, sevens. Oh, that's the other one. Thank you. Somebody mentioned it. SBZ, Black Myth Wukong. That's the other one that people were complaining where it was a scam the first moment it was shown, including, I think, Mike Williams and I talked about this, and Mike's like, it's a scam. And I'm like, no, it's not. I know somebody who's working on it. Look, it's not. Why are we thinking it's a scam? And it's not a scam. And what was weird was it wasn't even asking for it. It's not a scam. It wasn't even, it was like, oh, well, it won't look like that. And when you saw the trailer for it, you're like, dude, there's errors everywhere. Like, there's nothing about that.
And knowing what we know about Unreal Engine 5.
Absy, Unreal Engine 4. I mean, there was nothing in those first trailers even that would make you go, oh, this was magically a scam. It was a very odd, that was also a big misuse of the term, where it was like, where I think this one, much closer to a scam. Like this new game, the game tomorrow, that's much closer to a scam than Black Myth.
I'm excited, man. It's coming. It's coming tomorrow.
It'll be awesome. It'll be awesome because it's either going to
see very positive or very negative.
Terrible. Yeah. Elo Games says, cheers. We'll definitely pick it up. World looks beautiful. It is. And again, just a heads up, I discuss in the review the issues that I had and that I do think people will have. So it is possible you just won't like the game. I know somebody who hates Zelda. So if somebody can hate Zelda, and it gets like, I don't know why people are surprised reviews are not in alignment.
I've seen someone dislike Control. I've seen someone dislike. I haven't seen anyone dislike Prey. Disco Elysium, I've seen it like, oh, I got bored. So if people can dislike those games, like anything's possible, right?
And May says Black Myth Wukong trailers were so ahead of their time they used it to recruit more talent. That is incorrect. That is, I can tell you, other than asking somebody to come on that I know, it's not only factually incorrect, it's like you go back and look at those trailers. I have no clue why somebody would say that was ahead of its time. It looked great, but to me, ahead of their time,
anything special.
It wasn't. And you see clipping, you see all of the errors and the issues, and you're just like, why would... I don't understand if maybe people weren't seeing the games. I'm not saying I saw games secretly, but maybe I was tracking games like an Avatar or something, and so to me it didn't look special. But I remember signing into Twitter, getting excited about talking about it, and seeing people be like, this is impossible. And I'm all, impossible on what? Like, it's not even close
physics,
to impossible.
Though, those liquid physics look pretty sick.
Liquid
running
physics.
On a pool of blood.
Yeah. Cheers, ACG. Oh, yeah, I read that one. Yeah, anyway, enjoy it. Do you guys think companies will stop working on mobile ports for games since handhelds have become so big? No. Dude, they'll do both. Right?
Yeah, I mean, definitely, because there's a lot of, like, everyone has a phone in the world.
Yeah. By the way,
everyone has, like, a handheld.
Do you ever have a problem finding your phone? Do you ever lose your phone?
No.
Oh.
No.
So I have second class... Not second class. That's
Find
what
My iPhone or whatever. That's
what I was going to say. I have the second factor for my phone where I use it to sign into accounts, and I always lose the phone or have to charge it.
Shit.
So I bought one of those beepers, and I put that on. Never going to lose it again. It feels so magical because I would drop it under the fucking, under the couch, and we'd find it a week later, and I couldn't sign into my PlayStation account or what have you. It was a disaster. And so I just went online, and I found these big blocks, and it's almost like a finger rest for the back of your phone. You stick it on there, and it just it wails, man.
If my phone isn't in arm's reach, I just assume I lost it, and I put Find My phone.
Yeah, so you've already got it. See, mine is always uncharged, so there is no ability to find the phone.
Oh, dude, since I got it, I've never gone under like 10%.
I've never not uncharged it.
Yeah. No, I've been very good with the battery.
You're much better than, because I think you're not supposed to do what I do, which is where I forget it for a week and it'll just uncharge. Dude, I think that's bad for the batteries.
I need my phone for my job. Like, I have to call.
I need mine for nothing but two-factor, and I need to just remove it, man. I need to. I hate two-factor, dude. Mm-hmm. Anytime I sign into, it is good. It is good, but you can't tell me that it feels like that's a scam, and companies make it hard to make you not use it so they get. I don't know how to describe it. Every company, man, I'll go into sign and be like, we sent you a code. And you're like, oh.
Yeah, send us a code. Yeah.
It's like, could you ask me personal questions?
Every time
those
I
could be
try to
saved.
sign into my bank, I have to. But it's like, obviously, like, it's a fucking bank. Like,
no,
bank
it's
account.
for
like,
sure makes sense. It's just
it's
I
makes
want
sense,
it in
but
my brain.
It's annoying.
I want whatever company. I'm not going to say who I use for a bank, but I want them to ship me a chip that I just fucking put under my flesh. And from that, I'm so tired of, and it happens all the time. I'll have 10 accounts. I'll be like
facial recognition and shit. Just
yeah, or like thumbprints or what have you. And I get why. Obviously, it's security, and it's better than the fucking point the rabbit at the arrow, and you're like, what? Like, what does that even mean? Couldn't it just attempt it?
Dude, why are there some captchas where you answer the fucking thing correctly? You choose the pictures that have bikes in it. Even the dude, I never know though if there's. I
never know if they mean the person on the bike or the
if it's just showing the tail light. Do you choose it? Yeah. But anyways, I choose them correctly, and then it gives me another. And I literally one of them literally gave me like 10 of them, dude. What I hate.
Yeah,
everything.
And as Reg always jokes around, he's like, do you know what it's doing? It's just training itself to do it more. It's like every mistake you make, every whatever, we're just training AI to cheat us when somebody buys that database off of the dark web. Somebody's going to buy the Google authentication errors and successes list. Somehow it'll get hacked, and it'll be on the internet. Somebody will buy it and be like, now we can hack any place in the world.
I heard it's also less about like correct answers and more about how you move your mouse and where you click on the image and stuff and timing. Yeah.
Do you see the new malware that does that? This new malware will only activate when it tests the mouse, and the mouse moves on a curved line versus straight, because that's a computer. So it tracks the curve of acceleration on a mouse and can tell if a person or the computer is jiggling the mouse to keep it awake, and it won't turn on. So it will only turn on when those are, like, when it senses a human. I'm just like, you dickheads. Yeah. Like, you guys are smart. I love you. Good game. But I also want you all to die in a giant fire. The hackers are the worst things in the... Man, you find these stories out. Like, every time I see a movie where there's a hacker, I'll be like, that's pretty cool. You know, the hacking part. And then you find out what people do, and you're like, you piece of...
Yeah. Oh, piece of shit.
Just piece of shit. Speaking of pieces of shit, Embracer laid off Insurgency Sandstorm, some of their devs?
I think a bunch of their devs they laid off. It's just more layoffs. But Embracer, like, it seems to me that Embracer is laying off way more than most companies.
Yep, they are.
And I love Insurgency Sandstorm. So New World Interactive. I don't know exactly how many employees, but
I don't know about you guys in chat what you think about this, but what?
It cut roughly... Okay, no. This is in November. Embracer reportedly cut roughly 5% of its global workforce. So that's 900 employees. 50 more in Chorus. Where is there a number for this? I just love Insurgency, and sucks. You know, just always sucks.
I think that the big drop that they had, the big hit that they have, is they've stated, I believe, that even with the cuts, they're still at 1.5 million loss. Billion. Billion.
Oh, man.
So imagine, and that's one of the things I was trying to tell people. So when they're buying and they're borrowing, they have the interest that they have the debt that's accruing. Their debt that accrued is worth more than the sale of those now. So it's not like they can't build anything to show somebody something. They have to sell it prior to showing. So let's say they have Deus Ex as an IP. They can't make a Deus Ex to show somebody the IP, to sell the IP. They have the IP that no one else bidded on that they bought. So it's fucking weird. It's like, so let's say Microsoft was looking at Deus Ex, but Embracer bought Deus Ex for $30K. Microsoft knows they now need to sell it. So Microsoft offers them $15K, which means half of the debt is still accrued onto Embracer, which means even more layoffs. It's why
it's messy as fuck.
It's why an investor should, they should have, like, they love the idea because they
COVID,
did,
right? Like a lot of other people, but more so, where they're like, okay, our projections, the forecasting from COVID must have been wild.
Well, it wasn't just that; it was that Saudi deal where they were spending money based on the deal, and the deal didn't go through. So,
oh no, don't buy before you, or also, one thing, this might be random, but it just reminded me, like, don't. I see people doing this. The money you have does not include your credit limit. Please don't. Like, your credit limit is not money that you have. So don't. Sorry, I just I saw that before. But no, anyways, yeah, it's like that. It's like they assume it's like, oh, it's a done deal. We have that money, but they don't actually have that money. Yeah.
Never spend money you don't have. I mean, that is quite
Don't spend money
literally
you don't
the
have.
saying.
Yeah.
I don't know. And he's an investor, so it made sense, but he was also trying to make it worth something so that selling it would make money because he's an investor. And instead, the very thing that you assume would never occur did occur. It's a disaster. And so some of those companies, would they still exist if Embracer hadn't bought them, and did they get another 9 months of cash flow? Yes, that is true. There are some devs that were going to shut down, got bought, and so they had an extra 9 months. But I think that their plan and the data about the deal was not, no one else knew. So the idea in your brain is, I got paid by Embracer. Embracer's this massive company. They're doing great. They're buying all these companies. So let's build something and not prepare. And instead of maybe having to dissolve your company and recreate it somewhere else or shrink it up. So it's like 9 months of fluid cash inflow, and then suddenly the next day finding out the deal didn't go through. And it's just been a disaster after disaster after disaster. And I haven't heard Microsoft stepping in. I haven't heard Sony. I would assume Sony and Microsoft are both talking to some groups, but I don't know how Embracer's even... Embracer, I don't know about you, all I've heard is layoffs, not sales. You see what I'm saying? So, like...
That is true.
Microsoft and Sony, or any of these companies, Warner Brothers, I haven't heard any stories about sales of the stuff other than they wanted to sell Gearbox, which I don't think anybody wanted to buy Gearbox other than Embracer, because Gearbox was bought. They were the last big purchase, I think.
Gearbox was bought by who?
Gearbox is owned by Embracer.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. It just... What were we gonna say? Sorry.
I want them to sell Deus Ex.
Yeah. Anthony says, ACG streaming the Game Awards. I'm probably going to make that decision tomorrow. I've vacillated between the two. I am exhausted because I have not slept for days, and I would love to have a tiny bit of sleep, and it's almost impossible right now. But if I get a little rest tonight, which is my hope, I would like to stream it. If I don't, just so everybody knows, it'll almost 100% be a patron text and voice chat channel in our patrons Discord if I don't stream it. T-Pan 279 super chat. Our boys at ACG getting fired up over Embracer. Yeah, well, I mean, they fucking... It sucks, man.
Do they still have the rights to, like, Lord of the Rings?
No, that's Amazon, I think, right? Well, Amazon has some, because they're making a Lord of the Rings MMO, right? Aren't they the ones doing... Yeah, so... Yeah, I think maybe that one got sold. Dude, I don't know, because a lot of it's layoffs, and I really haven't seen any sales data, but I could be way off. Eidos, Warhorse, and Crystal Dynamics are studios I hope make it out okay. Yeah, so man. All those. Can you believe? And that's like fucking 1/10 of how many people work at Embracer. Ah, man. What a disaster.
Eidos, get me Eidos back. The last game Eidos put out was Guardians, right? Guardians of the Galaxy.
Dude,
when they were still with Square
and remember
Enix.
Those jackasses, the publishers were like, didn't they say something about sales and blamed them for poor sales? Or was that a different game? Was that a different game?
Was that for Guardians or Deus Ex, or was that for just a completely different game?
It might have been Outriders. It might have been. I don't remember. I just know that those guys blame everybody but themselves.
Multiple times, yeah.
Corduroy says, hey, Karak, after all the discourse over the past few months, has your opinion on Starfield changed, or do you still land where you did during the review? I like it better than
I've been seeing some wild New Game Plus stuff. Wild.
Well, those are the ones, if you're talking about the Discord, that is one of 4 that I was explaining to you guys changes the story.
It's ridiculous. I didn't know.
You're talking about the one that was posted this morning in the Discord?
That, and I saw another one. This is just, I didn't know.
Yeah, don't say anything.
Like,
don't say anything.
No, but there's some stuff, like, I can't believe I guess there's some cost. I mean, they had to do stuff that like some people just would never see. That I'm very
exactly. It's a sunk cost that maybe
yeah.
would, like, the chance of the normal gamer seeing it is not super high. Yeah, is not.
Yeah,
super
and it's
high.
a big thing. Like
Mhm.
it's a big thing that like it's a big cost in that one. Like, yeah, there's a bunch of shit. I haven't got into any, but
I would say with Starfield, still playing it, still enjoying it. It's still got the issues I brought up. I hate that it doesn't have solar system minefields that are really good and ruins that you could find. I love the subsystem flying in Freelancer and Starlancer less so, but Freelancer and those kind of games.
I
That's
do
my
wish it was a
favorite
bit
thing.
more seamless, for sure.
Yeah, it would be. See, the thing is I do agree, but I also, it's not. I don't know how to describe it, but I'm one of those type of people where I'm like, that's why when I do a review, I'm like, listen, I would love this. It's not that. Did it kill me? No, but I do. There's no argument. It's like, would any game not be better seamlessly? Probably not, right? I think 99% of games are better if they're seamless, especially space games like that. And that one's not. But it just doesn't. I don't know. It's like it didn't affect my enjoyment as much as I thought it would. I think the combat is more enjoyable than I expected.
Combat is more enjoyable than I expected. One of the big things for me that I feel like maybe we're underappreciated, and obviously it has a lot of issues, and I can definitely see the issues.
Yeah, there's very real issues.
There's very real issues, but I'm really, really glad. I'm very grateful, and I hope they keep going this direction. Is that they kind of stepped back and focused more on like the role playing aspects and more kind of customizability of the character and ROLE playing and stuff.
Customization.
Because they've been since Skyrim, even like Skyrim and Fallout 4, the RPG systems definitely took a dump there. So it's nice to see them like kind of go back.
I will also say, I'm probably pronouncing your name right. Condoleezza Rice, I have no clue. But your username, you asked me if my idea has changed. I will tell you this. If you ever hear me say that my idea has changed on a game and I put a review out for that game, unless I'm saying something improved and instead I'm saying, like, I was wrong during the review, fucking unsubscribe from me. Because it's a fucking game review. It should be pretty easy to say if it's worth 60 or not. I mean, I don't think there's ever been a game where there's been one or two that I've slept on and been like, because it's right at the cusp of being acceptable or something like that. But if somebody's around there changing their scores, like we saw with Cyberpunk, I unsubscribed from a bunch of people with Cyberpunk's review.
Yeah.
I was just okay, I'm unsubscribing.
The only times I've seen you
Whatever.
do that is like, for example, Elden Ring, when they put out a patch that caused more stutters.
Dude, what a disaster.
So, yeah, that's like the only time I've never seen.
Do you know how painful that was too? Because I knew people were going to come out, and luckily nobody did come after me. In fact, most people thanked me, but I was like, dude, what I played, this is worse. And we saw that with Spider-Man 2. Luckily with Spider-Man 2, still playing it, not as much, but still playing it about twice a week. I think I'll go and swing around Spider-Man 2. It's definitely got more bugs because of the patch. I think there's been patches since, but that swinging into the wall shit absolutely was patch induced. It was odd.
Did you see the stupid way people are getting to play as like the other?
Don't say anything.
They're getting to play as a certain character and like throughout the free world.
I haven't.
Like they've been literally, it's so bad. I don't think people should do that, but they've been like reaching a certain point in the game and then like unplugging their system so it could corrupt the save file in a certain way that something changes. And I'm like, dude,
that's
dude,
smart.
like it's just not a good idea, man.
That's smart. I think Mirage was overrated by ACG. Wait, didn't I?
What'd you rate it?
Didn't I give it a buy? What did I say? I think I had issues
overrated.
I gave it a buy, but I definitely brought up issues with it.
You said buy only if you're like, it wasn't like a buy for everyone. It's like a nuanced buy. It was like if you're really wanting to.
Well, I thought it was also on Uplay Plus.
Yeah. You said Uplay Plus.
I'm pretty sure I said yeah. If that's overselling, then I don't know where we are now. Like, at some point, you're just like, what's overselling? Condoleezza Rice. That's what we're gonna say. Hey, A for effort on the pronunciation. Fair enough. Agree with your opinions and appreciate the discussion. Yeah. Sorry, the name is. Can you pronounce that one?
Condottieri. Condottieri.
Okay, stop. That sounds like Ezio. Knock it off. I'm hyped for Starfield DLC. Yeah, we'll see if the Starfield DLC is coming out soon. There's Avatar DLC too. A lot of games are doing DLC lately. Did you see that Skyrim also added in?
Dude, what the fuck?
Creator Club?
With Skyrim?
Yeah. So does anybody in chat know what the hell is even going on there?
So,
like, are people mad or happy?
All I know is people are mad because mods aren't working anymore because they have to get updated because there was a massive new update. So that's one, like a lot of mods broke. But they added something that isn't the creation kit, or not creation kit, that isn't like the creation store, but it's another store for buying like bigger mods, like buying expansion mods or something.
Mm-hmm.
So random. Very random.
Yeah, no word, right? Random. No leaks, no word about this happening. I think it just popped.
All of a sudden. I have no idea. And I hope the Fallout patches more than that. I don't know what the hell, because we've seen them fuck with the update files or whatever the hell. So hopefully the Fallout patches and just a store.
Can people get? I had heard at least this is an update that will allow people to get paid for mods. Is that correct?
I'm guessing. Yeah, the mod creators are getting compensated, which is a good thing. But
Jesus Christ must be listening. He's answer. I see an answer here. It says Skyrim mod community is on fire. An update introduces more paid mods rather than. Oh, no, he doesn't. He doesn't get into it. More paid mods. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm guessing those mods aren't like the skins and shit. I think those are like substantial quests and shit like that. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I haven't really looked into it much. All I know is people are pissed because it's breaking mods.
That would piss me off.
Mods.
Yeah, that would piss me off. He says, rather than get into that can of worms, has there ever been a mod you felt for sure deserved money and you paid or donated?
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God.
I would say, I don't want to say who it is because I don't want to push a patron or whatever, but there's some there's some ray tracing ones that I bought or that I've subscribed to their patron to get some ray tracing settings and files for.
I mean, there's so many free mods that I can tell you what I would have I've donated and I would have no issue endorsing because some of the mods are just above and beyond. Obviously, the Forgotten City was insane, and they made it into a new game, and it's sitting at overwhelmingly positive. It's a really good game made by like 3-4 people. There's been substantial, very, very interesting mods for a lot of games, dude. Oh my God, I can't even think of something. There's a huge, obviously another start mod for Skyrim. I think is like a really, really good.
I mean, the Sky UI mod for Starfield and Skyrim, they deserve.
And Starfield.
They
Oh
deserve
God, yeah,
right,
for sure. Star UI is amazing,
dude. The thing is like if somebody deserves, most of the time somebody's going to have, and this used to be on Nexus Files. I don't know if it is anymore, but they used to have links where you could go buy them a cup of coffee, or maybe it is even patron. Because I don't think they stop somebody from having a patron. And I've definitely given money to the occasional mod. I mean, Sky UI is probably the one mod that I just think overall works all the time and helps all the time and is useful to use all the time. And so therefore paying them $5 seems like it's a legitimate.
Yeah, because I don't see myself ever playing Skyrim or Starfield without that mod.
Yeah, I think that'd be a little bit rough to play it if you've played it for very long with one of those kind of quality of life mods and suddenly it's gone. I think for a lot of people there's a lot of lacking information in the HUD for Starfield and for Skyrim. Yeah. I mean, Skyrim's was actually worse. I did Starfield's disliking or not loving the inventory, where I spent a lot of time in Skyrim hating the inventory.
Yeah. Especially you got to go to the menu and then it, boom, and the animation and it fading. And
dude, yeah. That's another thing about Avatar. I got it. Props. They skipped the old fade animation thing.
Nice.
So you just hit a button. It's not the greatest looking, whatever inventory screens, but it's like that. And I even saw somebody say they looked a little mobile, and I'm like, well, let's go with more mobile because I care much less about what that looks like and much more about how fast
Yeah,
I can get in and
less
out.
about the UI, more about the UX.
Yeah,
Yep.
exactly.
same.
And that is actually one weird thing about that game is the UX is actually, I mean, for the most part, is good. And you go in and you look at those and you're like, these sort of look ugly, but they're just quick.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, dude, Division, I was playing it, and there's a lot of like, sometimes there's a lot. First of all, it's kind of first it's encumbering, kinda like you feel like encumbered, but then you realize, dude, for the things they did for PC, like you can shift click and shit to select different things, or control click and just mark all junk, boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
But there is some like learning, and there is like those like hold and fades and stuff, which makes it annoying. But I love their ideas for a lot of UX stuff there.
The hold, dude, if I've pressed a button, I goddamn well want to go into that menu. I don't need your baby hand-holding bullshit at a fucking fair with a parent. Like, who needs that? I pressed A, bitch. I want to go in, and I don't want to... and you're like, why? But getting out is easy, and I mistakenly get out of menus too quickly. So I never have got into a menu on accident, but I can tell you I've got out of a menu many times on accident, and it seems so backwards to me to be like, you sure you want to go into your backpack? It's like, fuck yeah, it's over here. There's nothing fucking over there. It's the backpack. That's where I want to go. Yeah, it's Ubisoft though, right? I mean, some have it, but I think Ubisoft and Destiny are the two worst fuck you offenders that we've seen in history. With Destiny, would you say, I would say Destiny is worse than Ubisoft's. I think Destiny's entire HUD.
I don't even remember how the HUD was in Destiny. I don't even remember.
It's horrendous, man. It is horrendous. It is a terrible...
I know they have a lot of currencies and shit.
Yeah, they got like 8,000. That might not be hyperbole at all. It feels like 8,000. I'll tell you this, Destiny 2 feels easily worse than the worst free MMO I've ever played.
Oh shit. I think the worst, like the UI I hate the most is No Man's Sky.
Yeah, and they fixed it. That's their Microsoft rewrote the store. Remember when Microsoft said they rewrote the store and the same errors popped up and you're like, rewrote it how? What? No Man's Sky is a little better, but it's still got a lot of the same junk. Feels gross. Next up, Resme, who's, by the way, brand new to the patron. Thank you for jumping in this morning. What's your first game that drove you into an online world of gaming, whether sociable or competitive? Mine was hanging out with friends with Halo 2. Xbox Live. So what was the first, not like the first, but like what, do you remember?
First social.
Do you remember playing a game and it had multiplayer and that's the first time you jumped into multiplayer?
Other than like playing games at home, like two controllers, I would say playing Counter-Strike 1.6, I think it was, or 1.2, and like a LAN area. Yeah, like a LAN cafe or whatever.
You guys had those, man. That's so great.
6v6. Yeah, it was really, really fun. And then
did you play randoms? So you went to the LAN and they were random people, or did you invite friends and you all went to the LAN together?
There's some regulars there. I go with like one friend usually, or two, and we pick up and we go like, hey, who wants to play 8v8 or whatever, 4v4? Yeah. And sometimes we bet on, because the owner of the place would also play, and like the winners would get like free game time and shit.
Oh damn, that's cool.
No, yeah,
I believe this is the wrong name because this has popped up a couple times, but there was an online MMO. We're talking modem, and I think it was called Light and Dark. But I do remember the very first time walking around and it was all typing, but like it was graphics, but you had typing for comms. And I remember meeting a guy named Chewy. I've talked about it before. And it was one of the best experiences of my life. And I think of this guy all the time because I don't know, I'll never find him. He's probably dead, but it's like he helped me through a game. And I remember just being like, dude, a random guy out of the blue helped me figure out a thing using only text. And it was a pretty cool world at the same time, but I just remember being like, wow, this guy was fucking awesome. Like, he helped me enjoy the game, which is different than I think my friends, where we would tease each other if you didn't know it. So, like, my friends would come over and I'd be like, dude, let's play Halo. How do you do this? Because I do remember that, where I'd invite a friend over and they'd be like, how do I reload? And you're like, figure it out while you're jamming them up.
Cool shit. And
you're flipping the gun and you're dropping grenades off the top of their head. And they're like, how do you throw a grenade? And you're like, hit a button.
Dude, I remember... well, my first MMO was Silk Road Online. I remember that clearly.
Oh wow!
Like, first ever trying an MMO. I used to go on free MMORPG.net and
absolutely
try so many,
probably just downloading malware all the time when you were doing it. Yeah, dude. I got a lot of those Chinese ones that were generic name, generic verb, generic noun. Yeah.
Or Guns of the Duel was really, really fun. There was one I remember the first time. I think it was Xbox 360. I didn't have Xbox Live on the original Xbox, but I got it on Xbox 360, and the first ever game I tried it with was Perfect Dark Zero.
Damn.
And
on 360, right?
360. The beginning, I think it was 2006. It was my second game after King Kong, and I joined up with this random dude all the way in America. I don't even remember lag, dude. It wasn't in my head, but there were for sure lag. I just don't remember it. And we just became friends, and I was like, it was so wild to me that I was like, oh, this is a dude from the other side of the world that I've never been, that I only see on TV. And it was
you'd say
magical,
something like, we didn't even do Be Right Back, because I still remember up until maybe a couple years ago, I was typing full sentences. There was no, because you want to be clear. And I still remember saying, I will be on tomorrow, my time, Pacific Northwest, at this time. Will you be on at that time? ? And waiting. Yes. Yeah. And you'd be like, I will see you then. Let us meet by the green stone near that. It was like a wholesome time, man. It was like a little unbearded Karak running around. Those were good times. Yeah. EverQuest, PSO on Dreamcast is what some people are saying. Great game. AEO2 was my jam. AEO.
Age of Empires. Yeah.
Wow.
Sorry. And I feel played a bunch of Civ.
Yeah, Civ.
4.
Those were good, man.
Might and Magic 3. Oh my god, the worst part with those turn-based games was waiting for other people. Because you'd finish a turn in Civ or in
Let
Heroes
me read these,
Magic.
and then let's talk about waiting for these jackasses. Dinosaur says, we ran landlines to everybody's tent and played Battlefield. Doom says, Land Party Privateer 2 or Star Trek Armada, which was awesome. Dr. Skotsky says, 1995, laying in college, Command and Conquer, Doom, Duke Nukem, and Warcraft 2. Tanmay says, mini clip games. I don't know what those are.
Mini clip. Those old little small web-based games.
I don't think I have an experience with those.
Okay.
Real quick, my first MMO was RuneScape, another RuneScape, Lords of the Realm 2. Damn.
Oh, and Motor Online. Lord of the Rings Online. I don't Warhammer know Online.
Warhammer. Are we talking Warhammer the Reckoning or whatever it was called? The MMO Warhammer?
I just remember Warhammer Online. Yeah, it was like an MMO. Yeah. And it wasn't 40K. It was like the fantasy one.
Dude, it is so ingrained in my memory doing Warhammer Online, and they said you were going to have these stronghold battles. And I remember Cadiz and I were playing it, and I was like, this is awesome. This is like the shit I've always wanted from an MMO, even though MMOs hadn't become a thing, but I didn't want WoW. And they canceled it. And then Game On and I were talking about, I feel like I'm cancer for MMOs. That when I like an MMO, it's going to be canceled. Every time. So it's like there's some times where I wait to see if the MMO is going to last before I jump in, because I'm always nervous that this thing sounds good. I'm going to jump in. It's like, yeah, we're canceling it tomorrow.
Poor WildStar, man.
WildStar got canceled. WildStar just got nuked, right? Didn't it?
Yeah. It was really cool.
What was the cyberpunky one? In fact, cyber might be in the name.
Is it? Oh wait, no, I'm thinking of the GTA one.
No, this is like Neo. It was, and it's still running, I think, but it looks like Matrix and Cyberpunk mixed together. It's old looking, but it's crunchy. Oh man, come on! I can't believe I can't remember this. I didn't play it a bunch, but it always interested me as aside from wow. Does anybody in chat know what to I'm talking about? Probably not. They're like, what the hell, man? You don't remember either?
I have no idea. I remember there was like after it's old, right?
Yeah, it's like 12 or 13 years old, and it's crunchy.
Wait,
it's like
something like Eve, but not Eve, right?
I cannot remember. It's killing me. I'm
not Entropia or whatever.
No, I haven't heard of that one. Not Entropia.
There was one where it was like all
APB,
over the magazines.
No, not APB.
There was one all over magazines that some dude bought an island for $1 million or something.
No,
like
isn't
virtual.
that two?
Not Second Life.
Not Second Life.
No.
It's not Second Life.
No, it was like Entropia Universe.
Somebody bought an island in that.
Yeah,
Dude,
somebody bought one for like $100K or $200K. Yeah.
I think whenever you do that, you just need to know that it's like, okay, so that's not going to be anything. It's, it's not going to be, no matter what you get, you're not going to get your money from it. It's just like, you just need to be absolutely aware. Neocron. Boom.
What the hell is Neocron?
Yeah. Jesus. Thank you, guys. I feel, man, it's one of those times where your brain is just like, oh my God,
like
what
Deus
the fuck am I talking about? Yes. And I almost said anachronics, which might have helped people if I had said those, even though that's sort of like saying, here's help with a puzzle by giving them another fucking puzzle. Like, because a lot of people would be like, what's that game?
Last update was literally last month, 26th of November.
Dude, it's nuts, man. It's not. That's the thing that also astounds me is when you get that DLC or MMO like Guild Wars 2 is still going and Cadiz plays the shit out of it. They got new classes and new areas and you're just like, dude, that is ridiculous, because that game, I feel like that game is at least 10. No, it's got to be more than 10. Guild Wars 2 has to be up in the 15s. Maybe I'm wrong. I feel like it's 15 years old, but I love it when an MMO gets that kind of support.
Fucking EverQuest is still going.
EverQuest 1, because 2 came and went. And Asheron's Call 2 came and went, and I believe 1. I could be wrong
is still
on that,
getting updated.
I think 1 is still, dude. Oh, Skotsky says he was thinking Anarchy Online. Guess what? I was thinking both of those and merging them.
Oh, Anarchy Online
is the other one I was talking about. And it's just nuts to see those, man.
Oh my God, Anarchy Online. Wait, I'm gonna type old MMOs. I remember playing so many random ones.
Guild Wars was 2005, so I was right, man. Is that not nuts? 15, 16, 17, 18 years.
And that was one of the only ones that were like pay once to play.
Yeah. Yes. Remember? That was the deal. And they had friends or beasts or pawns. They have a companion system of some kind that he talks about. Yeah.
Did you ever play MapleStory?
I played MapleStory, yeah. Speaking of, my favorite MMO of all time, even above WoW, is really not even, it's generically not even an MMO. But it is a 2D animated cartoon battler where you go through a D&D world called Adventure Quest.
Adventure Quest.
Check it out.
Okay.
I don't mean my favorite easily. I mean, when I was dating my wife, we were living in separate cities. I was playing Dofus, which is a French one, which is fantastic. Very anime, just really amazing. And we would spend hours chopping wood in that game. And then I was playing Adventure Quest. And this thing is like Neopets level. I mean, I would say Adventure Quest has to be 2001. I mean, it's just a 2D, and there's no animations really. It's just like like somebody drew an arm and then animates the arm flying for. It's bad, but just billions of things you could do, and I still have it. Hey yo, I played Adventure Quest in school. Yeah, don't tell me how long ago school was, because I have a feeling it's been a long time. Yeah,
I'm trying to find.
Because there's 5 or 6 Adventure Quests as well.
Futuristic one, dude. Yeah.
Mech Assault.
There's a lot of Adventure
Quest. They did. Adventure Quest did Mech Quest, which is the mech version of it. Yeah, dude. Oh, hey, let's talk about Outcast real quick. I forgot. So I got a
Entropia Universe. Have you never heard of it?
I haven't heard of Entropia Universe.
It was all over like magazines and shit as like the next big like live another life.
Live another life.
Buy land. Like it was all microchip. Like you buy land and shit. Yeah. There's mayors. Because
there's
$335,000. The dude sold a club, the most expensive virtual world objects ever sold. In 2009, a virtual space station, a popular destination,
Yeah, I
sold
read
for
this.
330,000. This was then eclipsed in 2010 when John Jacobs sold a club named Club Never Die for $635,000.
So can I say what I truly believe happened?
What the fuck? Yeah.
I believe that a lot of those places are used for nefarious means, including money laundering and meeting up and discussing things and without outside of a chat or a Discord and stuff like that. Because one of my friends bought something for a lot of money, and I could not. He's a shady friend.
Okay.
He's not a hacker, but he's a shady pal, and he always has money but never has a job. And I know him as a kid, so I was like, I don't know, nobody's died. He doesn't have and I have a feeling. I don't know. I've always wondered if it was stolen property, but he's never been arrested for anything, and never ever, when I've seen his house or whatever, does it look like he has stolen property. But he's bought multiple digital properties for a good amount of money, and then he will turn them over in a way that makes you wonder who's buying them. And if they're like, maybe he doesn't even know, and he's never said anything to make me, wonder about this. But it's like, I just, in the back of my head, am like, is he selling it to people and they're laundering money, and then they're selling, because I don't know if you know, but like almost any business can be a money laundering business. If you're losing money, this is the best way to do it.
MMO black market.
Yeah, just like weird stuff. Sometimes those sales, you're like, why would that happen? Why would anybody spend 325?
Why would someone spend 600?
Right, or 600? You know what I mean? You know what I mean? So then you start going like, that sounds like money laundering, but I don't have any proof.
It's like you buy like a real club.
Right. Yeah, at that amount of money, you buy a Magic card and you sell it to Post Malone. Right, like it doesn't
for millions.
Yeah, and when you get those people who aren't afraid of losing money, that's one thing. But sometimes it's almost like they're trying to lose money, and you're like, why would you try to lose money unless somebody's coming off of this in a positive way? It's just me. Probably nothing like that. Let's see. Might be a supplier. Could be. Oh, art and NFTs. I don't think I know a single person who got an NFT.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I see some Twitter dudes with the ape picture still like kind of talk about NFTs, but I don't. It's kind of came and went. Like it's everyone, it's a stupid idea anyway.
Yeah. Ric Flair says Taylor Swift named Time's Person of the Year for 2023. Who would you choose as your Person of the Year? Who would Person of the Year would have to be somebody I cared about, and then also I tracked something good from. I have no clue. I do not track Person of the Year. I don't track.
I didn't know that was a thing. Like, what makes a Person of the Year?
Impactful. So I don't know if you remember this, but Time got in a bunch of trouble because they also, I believe, did Osama bin Laden, and people were like, "That's a terrorist." Yes, but they were as in influential at that time period. It was either them or another big.
So Vlad Putin.
Right. So somebody who is, you would not associate with those has won in the past before. Obviously, Taylor Swift is not that, she is not Putin, but I'm just saying it's happened before.
Yeah. I mean, Putin was pretty.
Yeah, I don't track any of that kind of stuff. I don't track, I track actors that I like, but I don't track people who are doing, I mean, you could say, this is honest. Actually, I could give you an answer. Lex Friedman for exploring scientific debate and discussion and getting people on that I know a lot of us, even I might have a question with, where I'm like, dude, it's, I don't know if you want
Andrew Huberman.
See, he would be a good choice, or Goggins, both. But Lex is they're in one place. Lex Friedman's like, let's make sure that let's get people in these weird. I mean, even Theo Vaughn, as much as I think he's an idiot, he brings on a fireman, right?
His comedic timing is amazing, though.
It's beyond belief. But he gets 3 hours from a cop who has no special anything other than somehow connecting with Theo at the right time. And you get 3 hours of generic Joe the cop explaining what it's like to be a police officer. And to say that that's not probably the most educational podcast at times, I think would be disingenuous.
Amazing.
And I think also would be looking at Theo himself and blaming him because of the way he acts.
I find it so much more interesting. I know, like, obviously it's very interesting when you get like a so-and-so who's done like insane things and PhD or whatever, like on Joe Rogan and shit. But there's like this YouTube channel that literally focuses on interviewing random people, just random people, one person, like a hooker or like a former prisoner or like a drug addict or just random people from the street.
I mean, that's what Theo did. He had an escort as well.
Yeah, I think that's really cool because you explore these lives of like real people that aren't caught up in the whole social media thing.
Yeah, Theo is either the funniest. So sometimes you're like, dude, this guy, can you consistently be this clueless? Or, you know, is it a scam? And I remember, I think it was Joey Diaz or whatever. No, it was somebody else. They were asking his friends. They were like, is Theo that way in real life? Or is that all a game? And all of them were like, I have no clue. Like, Theo comes across that way a lot of times. I think that's really fun. Really fun. I do think that Huberman is great, but he's really connected to just the health stuff. And sometimes when he says shit, he says, you know, this study, I definitely believe in studies, but sometimes they'll be like, this brand new study, and it's like, all right.
Yeah.
Sometimes I need
he
three
like
or
does
four.
the neuro bro thing, you know, the neurotropic shit, or like the cold plunge stuff where I'm like,
Yeah, where I believe it a lot of times, but sometimes there's sometimes, like you said, it's like, it's like,
or like no
brain
fap
bro.
and shit.
Brain. If I ever hear anybody talk about like no fap, I'm done with them. I'm like, that is that is video. So it is beyond cringy to even talk about, but it is so anti like personal life. I don't need to hear about it. You don't have any say in my personal life. The amount of data you should get about my personal life is directly comparable to what the fuck I want to tell you about it. You do not have any right to it. You don't have there's no say whatsoever. And somebody saying no FAP November, all I want to do is punch them. It is the stupidest conversation. And by the way, I mean that with anything. Somebody says, maybe no drive, you know, you want to cut pollution. I'm not saying I would say no to that, but personal stuff, you know, like that's just, it's gross, man. It's gross. Get the fuck out of my life. I don't want you there.
Sometimes you get like the very, very weird discrepancies when people want to like get people to boycott something, but then it's like, oh, what about this and that and this and that and this and that?
Yeah, it's gross, man. It's gross. But these kind of, so person of the year, I would say probably Lex, but I just think that Theo has interviews. He did the interview with the cadaver guy, the what are they called? Coroner. And this guy couldn't even talk right because he's not a talker. He's not an influencer. He's a guy that Theo got on. But when you parsed what he was saying, holy shit, was it interesting. And it was awesome. There was no canned, well, do you get accustomed to seeing human bodies? The cop said, you're not supposed to, it was more canned because he'd obviously talked to this coroner dude. He sounded like he'd never talked to anybody but his fucking plants, right? Like his plants were his best friend. He spritz them in the morning. He's like, hey, how you doing, Theodore? Whatever. And
that
that's
helps, doesn't it? Isn't there like a thing where if you sing to plants or like
you mean for the growth? That
like
studies, yes, multiple studies have proven that they grow better when they're in a positive environment.
Very crazy. Very crazy. Man.
Here's what I believe. Plants are just unlucky as fuck, and so they communicate really slowly, and we pretend they're dead, or that they're not smart. We're going to find out that elm tree in the back you're cutting down is eternally screaming at a really low sub hertz.
Yeah.
And is like, like the Ents in Lord of the Rings where it takes them 15 minutes to say morning or whatever.
Just cutting down like 1,000 years worth of knowledge.
Absolutely. Like that.
That's dead. You're dead now.
Yeah. And when you hear the stories, they'll talk about the largest living creature in the world is actually that mushroom patch they found. That's like 2,000, it's like all which is where the movie, the game, Last of Us, the fungus, all that stuff.
Oh, okay, yeah.
For the movie, they didn't know how to do it, so they sort of started talking about this underground, connection between all this stuff, and that's true. I mean, there's like, you know, where and they inform each other. They'll say like if the moss senses something in one place, other places will start to adjust because it's like telling.
Man, people shouldn't be scared about AI. They should be scared about fucking fungi.
Dude. Oh, or the what do you call it? Yeah, cordyceps, you know, where it's like at some point it's just going to come sprouting out of somebody's head. It'll probably happen, dude, in our lifetime.
Yeah.
It feels like we're overlapping with too many.
Yeah, when's the
disaster.
zombie apocalypse, man? We've been waiting for it for
I mean,
a while.
Florida might already be happening. Just saying.
Yeah,
we might need to saw Florida off of the United States.
Is it? There's a certain street. I don't know if it's in Florida or in another state, but it's those zombie drugs that like everyone's taking. That
Fentanyl.
Literally,
Yeah, fentanyl's bad.
Is that one where they like lean?
Yeah,
like a lot of
fentanyl's
people
China.
just leaning.
Yeah, it's bad.
Yeah,
it's like
crazy,
really bad.
man.
And the problem with
are-
that is because we have two family members who died, who overdosed from fentanyl, and
God.
no one wants it because it kills you, and the drug dealer doesn't want it because it kills them, but it gets
The
into
overdose
stuff.
is like
Yeah.
insanely small,
And it killed
to
these
overdose
guys
on
who
it.
were, one was, I'll just say, an experienced drug. I mean, he knew his shit. Like, bubble, toil and trouble, man. He could build his own stuff, and he was making shit. Like, he knew his stuff, and he still died instantly from it. Yeah,
it's insane. And there's like spice, which they like people in prison use to replace weed.
Yeah,
or
I saw
whatever,
that
and-
recently. Where it doesn't
man.
show up on drug tests, but it just makes you absolutely
you.
insane. There was a YouTube short,
man,
I think, that I saw where they were talking to a prisoner about
Yeah.
this new thing that no one's testing for. Well, I don't know if you're not in this, but UFC, dude, UFC EPO was a huge deal for a while, and they weren't testing for it. And once they did, so many people popped. And that's the Lance Armstrong kind of drug, the one that like ups your red blood cell count and shit, lets you, you know, carry more oxygen, transport it, stuff like that. So they'll test for that stuff in prison, or they won't. Maybe they'll just be like, whatever, eat some spice. Who knows? They also make drink out of ketchup, fermented ketchup. They make hooch. I saw somebody mixing that up, like fermented ketchup and a couple other things. Mix it up and let it sit in a toilet bowl and get all rotten and then drink it. Hey, dude, if you're bored,
man.
right? If you're really bored, I did
no.
some of that shit when I was a kid, mixing chemicals in my dad's garage. So seems to me
I
that's
did that, but I didn't consume any of this shit.
No. I think I probably did. You know, when I was a kid, I'm pretty sure I probably did something.
Moldy ketchup or whatever.
Not moldy ketchup. That's disgusting. What else do we got? GTA. I got those questions. I think I got this. Let me check old Twitter.
Oh, Twitch shut down in Korea.
What does that mean? I mean, I know
There's no more, like literally no more Twitch in Korea. Like all the streamers there can't stream anymore
because
that's it.
Korea's laws. They shut it. It's anti-American kind of thing.
I didn't look into it too much, but I know that there's like a bunch of Korean stream because there's a lot of Korean streamers that made it big in Twitch, and now they're just fucked. Yeah, so Dan, in a surprising move, the popular live streaming platform Twitch has decided to end its services in Korea early next year. CEO Dan Clancy announced Twitch will shut down its business in Korea effective February 27, 2024, due to the cost of operating in that country.
Interesting.
Wow.
I wonder if they've levied a bunch of taxes against them because they'll do. So for the longest time, anti-United States taxes were completely acceptable. And Americans paid it. American businessmen paid it. And then once we started, people were like, you're racist. And it became this big thing. And that was big in the 80s and 90s where companies in each nation were trying to figure out like how they tax somebody and how difficult it is. This is North Korea, right?
And no one's, South.
South
and
Korea.
No one's, South Korea. And no one's blaming, like these, I've been seeing a lot of Korean people comment, they're not blaming Twitch. It's all on there's like Korean
South Korean
internet
business
network usage fees and shit, like some crazy shit going on there. So it's not really like Twitch's fault. But it just sucks because
this is a good conversation to have. This is a good conversation. It connects slightly to this. I saw some people who were complaining about the size of games. So this has been a big deal for the last 2 or 3 years. The size of games are too big, and I'm always trying to explain. You want better audio. You want better textures, blah, blah, blah. Games are going to get bigger. And developers aren't thinking about that. They're thinking about, does the game efficiently stream? And if it does with a bigger one file, then that means one file has to be fully rewritten to update. So you now have a 2 gig update, 40 gig update, re-download. But there's bandwidth caps. So as we get bigger, unless bandwidth caps are destroyed everywhere, at some point somebody's paying more for a game than the $60 because they're also paying a bandwidth cap, right? And so I'm wondering if maybe South Korea's got something like that, where it's like so people are jumping in and they're streaming, and these guys are looking at the bandwidth
network
used.
usage thing.
Yeah, network usage.
And streams are streams, dude. Like they're constantly pouring out.
Oh, dude, I when I started looking at my router, when I got Netflix, I almost shit we went over the terabyte limit. Now, admittedly, when I do a review, I usually review 2 or 3 games. So if it's Call of Duty, that's 600 gigs. It's 200, 200, 200. So it's 600. And if you have a 1 terabyte, that's one game I'm going to go over. But then you got Netflix and Facebook being the biggest offender. Facebook just opening. Oh, dude, I was talking to Reg about this because he was writing that firmware. You open Facebook, and that thing opens like 640 connections. It doesn't care. Oh. If Facebook's like, sup, bitches, welcome to the world. And it's... And so Netflix and that, I remember one day watching my router, and I turned Netflix, and then my wife did Facebook, and my router, you know, you have your Celeron CPU. My router CPU was like at 99... This is an older router, but it was at 99%. And I was like, what the fuck? No wonder my shit gets slower. Like, it's actually getting, because they don't care. They're not worried. They're just like, we're going to put it on the consumer for that kind of stuff. Yeah. I had to buy.
Do you have a bandwidth cap? Do you have a cap?
I paid out of it. I would, but I pay for a business internet, which allows for unlimited. And there's 2 more companies here that are doing fiber that I might switch to, but I'm happy with what I got. It's not super expensive.
That's good.
But I went over. I owed $400 in 1 month. And that's when we switched. Because the payment to go over was only $30 a month, and I accrued $400 in overdue whatevers in 1 month, and they let me get away with it for like 6 months, and let me get it. It's probably
like
just a check mark.
You can go over unlimited if you pay an extra $30.
No, you can go to unlimited. I was not at unlimited, and I was going over as a reviewer all the time.
Oh. So you have to pay per like gigabyte?
So, normally they would, but I believe it's 10 for where I am. So every 10 you pay, and they were like, don't worry about it. Please don't do this. I would get a response, blah, 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 happen again and again. Then I started streaming 4K at every Netflix station, and I'm watching 2 shows. My wife's watching a show, and pretty soon they were like, we're going to start charging you. And found out business was, I think it's only $30 a month extra.
Oh, shit, okay.
Are you unlimited?
Bad. Yeah. Yeah, and even in Canada, if you were to go over like 100 megabits per second, all those plans are unlimited.
Oh, really?
With the Rogers, but
Rogers. Yeah, Rogers. Comes
Dude, they like when I moved, they charged me like $200 to cancel and return the modem or whatever the fuck, and I'm like, no, fuck you guys.
Eternal saying SSD compression helped earlier this gen, but sizes are increasing exponentially. Yeah, they definitely are. And I mean, it is weird that technically, if you look at how SSD works, it can actually be faster as a compression than not compressed. Because I think in my brain, in most people's brains, they think of compressed and they think it'll be slower. But for some SSD files, it's faster. I mean, game files are not going to get smaller. Because those guys, the developer is worried about, does the system work better? Do these, can we stream the sound out of a big file? Or I don't know if you've ever run a test Crystal Dismark on your SSD and you get like 6 read speeds because it's talking about one big file, multiple small files.
Like sequential and shit.
Yeah. And that's with a PCIe fucking NVMe. And you start seeing slower speeds and you're like, oh, no wonder a console that has an NVMe in it is going to try to make sure that they leverage the best possible file type, regardless of your update and your difficulty with updates. 1 terabyte Series X, the SSD expansion, and 4 terabyte external from last gen, 600 gigs free. Yeah, I would say the externals for the consoles are terrible.
How many games do you have installed? 190 games? Why do you need 190 games?
Who says they have 190 games?
Doom Reaper.
God damn.
Why do you need that many?
Do you know how?
Is it just like very slow internet, so you just want to keep them on
On my
retainer or whatever?
PlayStation 5 right now, I have 2 games installed, and I think the most ever I've had 3.
Yeah,
Ever.
PlayStation 5, I can't install more than like 4 games. I don't have an extra NVMe. On PC, I think I have around like 10 games, but like I don't need them all installed. It's just that I have a lot of space now. I have like three M2s.
Yeah, and whenever you get an SSD that, let's say, isn't necessarily small but isn't huge, and you upgrade, I grab that SSD and plug it in somewhere. I have so many drives, it's ridiculous. Like, it's just
Yeah.
I sort of like having a bunch of drives too. And then for any
Yeah,
hard drives,
yeah.
I use SSD as a cache. So it just
Oh yeah, I've seen
huge
people
bonus.
do that.
Dude,
Yeah,
it's ridiculous. If you have anything out there that's on a hard drive, even NAS, like NAS, the network systems, you can buy those now, and they have like PCIe slots for putting an NVMe in.
For a cache. Yeah, I've seen those. Yeah.
Yeah, huge bonus. I mean, I noticed a big difference in the music file and the video file hard drives, where if I use the NVMe, it's so much.
Doom Reaper says options. It's like 190 games, just options. I like it. All right.
Dude, I think
Like
sometimes that
190
is
options.
why I hear people talk about backlogs.
Yeah,
or,
never finishing games. Like,
or what's the other one? Backlogs or analysis paralysis. Because to me, I don't have either ever, and I think that it's because I do delete stuff. I do, and I don't even play that game. I'm just like, I don't have a backlog. I have games I own, but there's no debt.
Yeah, I just play whatever.
There's no mental debt.
You know, I have games for whatever mood I'm in. So if I'm in like a whatever mood, I just play whatever game. I don't really like feel the need to like 100% or beat or anything.
Do you have a NAS at your house? Do you have a network storage?
Not in my house. I have one in my office and one on site that I bought. I think I bought Synology. I got one that was MyCloud. Right? I hated it. MyCloud.
Yeah, Western Digital MyClouds. I had
Western
a MyCloud
Digital
a long time ago.
It's good for, I guess, personal use if you want to like access your files, but for office use, it was just horrible. Like,
was it too slow?
Just terrible. Sometimes like because we just want it for local network storage, like we don't care about the online stuff. And sometimes like people can't get in, and sometimes it just doesn't let them.
That's why, honestly, man, I didn't get one for the longest time, and I'm only really getting one because of work. But I just used a USB giant what do they call JBODs, just a box of discs, and it's got 4 discs in it, and it's connected to USB, and it's awesome.
There you go. Yeah.
I mean, instead of having
a bunch of footage.
Yeah. And if you want to send somebody the link to share it online, you can do that. You can connect it. It's cool. Why add another?
I get why subscribe to like Google Drive or whatever.
Yeah. I think the big thing is transcoding. People are like, they want that separate one to watch Plex or whatever. And I'm like, if I'm making something to watch Plex, I'll probably just do it on my main PC. I probably, no reason to do an extra one. It's great for archiving stuff, because I've found myself downloading the same file 50 times, like everything.exe or something, where I like something, I'll be like, oh, I want to use that, or I need this, or the company's going out of business, I want the installer, because like it's become freeware or whatever, and then I put it on there, and I've definitely got a lot of files, like just a lot of generic. In fact, I have ones where I don't even know what's in them, and I'll click it and be like, oh, I was looking for that. They're VSTs. Do you back up your VSTs for audio? I back up all my VSTs.
I have samples.
Oh, yeah, right.
Samples. There's something we didn't talk about that happened. We haven't talked about. I think it happened last week or something. I don't know what you feel.
We also didn't talk about Outcast, but we'll do that at the end.
Oh yeah, we'll talk about Outcast. So did you see the thing about Sony just pulling all the Discovery content on people's devices, the ones that they bought?
Yeah.
What's that, man? Like,
and that's people's move. Did you see Sleeve in there? Sleeve and they were in the Discord, and they were saying that like they owned a lot of movies on there, I guess.
Yeah, like there's like the list is massive from the Discovery store or whatever, and like it's crazy. Why would they like, I get not just discontinuing them so you can't buy them anymore, but if you've already bought it, Why would they take it out of your library? It doesn't make
Well,
sense
because
to me.
they're paying the IP license, so having
Because
it
you can re-download it.
yeah, and having it available.
Right.
But I agree with you. In fact, I think that's the. I don't see how. So we hear about suing, and you know me, I'm pretty anti-sue, for the most part. I just don't believe in it unless it's a real thing. That's a fucking real thing. Like the idea that you have bought, let's say, whatever your movies, and they're removing it because of IP costs. Well, that's on them. That's not on the consumer. That's their fault. That's completely on them. They need to have maybe a last. There has to be like, I don't even believe in reimbursement. If you bought it and own it, maybe if they say last ditch effort, you have 1 year to download everything. I don't know how they would do that, but the idea of just removing all the Discovery content is mind-blowing. Or not all of it, but
from your own library. That's like the big.
Isn't that
we've seen
weird?
Steam like discontinue games or something, but they stay in your library.
Yeah, in fact, don't they make a point to state it won't be buyable or whatever online anymore, but it'll always be in your library.
You have it. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't get it, man. I don't know what they're doing. Like, I do get the IP I should say I do understand the IP licensing. That's why we lost Westworld too, was the IP. But they need to figure it out. They need to, and anybody who buys a subscription to anything, don't buy anything from it. Like, if you're watching the same show, I guess multiple times, maybe, because I do that. But like, you go to Amazon Prime and you have the rent button, and then you have the buy button. If you buy from Amazon, what's the guarantee Amazon won't go out, something won't happen and Amazon will be like, you don't own your movie anymore. Just seems sort of counterintuitive. It seems like, I just don't, I'm okay with games because I know where games are and I know that it might happen. But as somebody just said, I was going to bring it up, Xbox games are, even when they're delisted, are still available. So games seem to have figured it out. Yeah,
because I've been a big advocate of digital. Like, I'm fine with digital games and stuff, but stuff like this, I don't know, because stuff like this just has me rethinking things. Like shit, all my whole, I have 500 games on Steam, dude.
Right.
These are all my games, but they're mine. And I just have, like, I guess I have faith or trust that they won't, like, all of a sudden, I don't know, get fucked. I don't know what even would happen.
Yeah, but how many times in history have we always said some company won't get fucked, and then it goes over in middle of the night?
Yeah,
you know. Or what if somebody sues one of these companies?
In BC, right?
Right.
There's no. I haven't had a CD-ROM since like 20.
Yeah, there is no. I mean, there is no real choice when it comes to that. Yeah. So you sort of get screwed. Yeah. I'm just waiting for the EU to step in with the digital media licenses. Yeah, I mean, these companies are going to have to pay, and it's a streaming thing. It's happening with everything. We have somebody in the patron who is he works on movies. Well, we have two. The one I talk to a lot, and he has like some, not takes on it. He has some ideas on it, and it definitely seems like it's a big deal. It definitely seems like, for me at least, there is a lawsuit conclusion to this one, where I think sometimes there isn't. This one just seems weird if you're just removing people's stuff, but. Has SoundCloud ever done that? Does SoundCloud have any issues with music license, let's say, and if you buy a band's music on SoundCloud, and let's say that band, I don't know, deletes their page or whatever, SoundCloud always allow for you to download those?
Can you like actually buy stuff on SoundCloud, or does it just link to like their Bandcamp?
Well, what about Bandcamp?
Bandcamp, yeah.
I don't know how they handle things.
But like when you buy a song on Bandcamp, you download it. If you have it, I guess you're safe. But then if your hard drive gets fucked or something, then and then it's not downloadable anymore, then I guess that would.
Tanmay says Sony EULA says you can't sue. So I'm going to tell you guys that is normally true, and they work it out. But I have a feeling that sometimes you say somebody can't sue, and the suing happens anyway, so I don't know. Yeah, we'll just have to see. It sucks. Speaking of sucking, Outcast does not suck. Got to play Outcast, The New Beginning, and I gotta say, man, I was actually pleasantly surprised. I didn't know how that was going to work out, because I think Outcast, the remake, what was that called? I can't remember. That came out like a year ago or whatever. The remake was a little rough, but this one, holy shit, does it look good. and it plays. You didn't do Outcast. That would have been before your time.
No,
right?
I didn't do Outcast, but I saw your preview. Obviously I can tell like it's a AA game, but it always interests me like what they
Looks
let you
good.
do. Jetpack as well in that one.
Yeah, Jetpack
Yep.
instantly by. No, maybe not that, but
Is
yeah,
it THQ
it was awesome.
Nordic?
THQ Nordic and Appeal, who made the original, which is pretty crazy when you think.
Cool. That's
and
cool.
they announced
THQ
the
Nordic did
sequel
Elix,
1 year
right?
after it came out, and now we're
Yeah.
getting it. So it's only taken 25 years, what have you.
Holy
But
shit. So when
Outcast
is it
is
coming
basically
out?
Stargate and Elix mixed together.
Nice.
It's
Nice.
coming out March. They announced on the day I released the video, March 24th. There's a 4 in there. 4th,
Wow.
24th, or 14th.
It's doing any like cool ambitious shit? What is it? Choice based?
I would say, yeah. There's some choice. It's freeform, man. It's just like go over there and do these
Do
things.
stuff. That's
Yeah.
cool.
So it's about destroying the bad guys who are taking over a land. It's definitely got some Avatar influences, actually. It's
Yeah,
because
like
it is a native group and stuff like that. Except here, you've got your one guy coming in to sort of save him, but
Yeah.
the discussion and stuff is awesome because he's cut and dry. So like they're talking about why traditions are stopping this and that, and I love it because there's this one conversation he just kills. He's like, well, I'm standing here, so obviously all of your assumptions are wrong. And I'm like, love it. Oh, dude, he
There
does
you
a
go.
lot. And that's what I forgot. That is
Good
actually,
protagonist.
yeah. And when I brought it up
Yeah.
in the review or the preview, somebody was saying it is funny that he did that in the original, and he did. I went back and looked at some of the dialogue, and it's
Same
very,
guy.
yeah, well, same story. It's a different voice actor, but the dialogue is identical in that he just there. I don't know how to describe it, but like have you seen Dances with Wolves? That 2 prior to your time.
Oh, maybe.
Any of those,
No.
even Avatar, any of those times where technology meets tradition and they fight. In
Yeah.
this one, the technology guy's trying to help the traditionalists, and instead of
cool.
them like, I don't know, instead of they try this long drawn out blah blah blah, but he's like, dude, if this prophecy is real and I'm standing right here, what the prophecy is wrong, or not the prophecy, but your tradition that you're currently doing is wrong. And it's great because the NPC is like, oh, and it's
Forward-thinking.
refreshing. Yeah, it's refreshing, and it happens.
Because even Elix, they had
number of
like they had
times.
the technology people, and they had the people that banned technology. you know?
Yeah, it's refreshing because when I walked away from it, I was like, this is a story I would like to see if how much of an effect he could make, because it's definitely a different story than the original. It's just that it's still in the same world. Adelphi.
Yeah.
And they're the ones who did GOM-SOVs, which were game saves. They took and they would adjust the words slightly, but it would be a real thing. So, like, you and I might say HUD, and they'd be like, your HUD will tell you where to go. And you'd be like, wait, what? And now it's been done, but back then no one had done that. And so when they kept talking about the mighty GOM-SOV, you'd be like, I don't know what that is. And then it saves your spirit. And I remember playing going, oh my God, it's a game save. That is insane. And it sounds dumb now, but back when I was a kid. Yeah, exactly. You're just like, wait, what? That's or Hogwarts,
some Psycho Mantis shit.
Harry Potter will they'll say something and it sounds arcane, and then once you actually listen to it, you're like,
or like you realize every Pokemon is like Econ's a snake backwards. There's like other Pokemon where it's just words backwards.
Is that true?
Did you? Yeah.
I don't follow
Econ's
Pokemon much. So
the snake.
You mean so is that for every creature or a lot of the creatures just a word?
I think a bunch of them are like that. I'm not a huge Pokemon guy, but I know like a couple of them are.
That's
just words spelled backwards.
Before we wrap it up, do we have anything?
Did you
chat? You got any questions?
questions?
Go. I think I did. Let me look. Get a chance. Join Patreon.
Dude,
spread the word of the videos.
There was one thing. So this arcane level designer, I think there's a group of them, made a whole mod expansion for Thief, like the first Thief.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently it's fantastic. It's massive. The level design is incredible. Like hours of content. Which is
so
really, really
they
cool.
just got together and were like, maybe a resume thing, or are they just fans of?
They just got together. They're arcane devs, arcane level designers. They just got together and made a whole expansion for free for Thief with a different protagonist.
Oh no shit! A voice?
Yeah.
Is it voiced?
I don't know. I didn't check. But
You okay, dog?
apparently it's like Gothic style, really, really cool levels.
Yeah,
Massive.
Thief was my jam. I have a hard time returning to those older games, even if a mod is amazing, just because it's crunchy. Thief.
Yeah, the second level kills me, man. The one with the
on the
caves and
rooftops?
zombies.
Okay. I'm thinking number 2. Want to go see the Bears fight tonight? Did you play 2?
No, I want to get back into it because I only played 1. Yeah.
Did you play 3?
No. I played the shitty one, the 4th.
I don't know if you guys have talked about it, but what do you guys think the BD3 announcement is tomorrow? What does that mean?
What's the BD3?
BD3.
What's BD3?
BD3.
BG3? BG3 announcement? D is close to G.
D is close to G. Okay, real quick. If it's Baldur's Gate, what about it? What do we got for Baldur's Gate?
I don't know. They've been updating it. They added an epilogue. That's all I know.
Did they say they were going to do an announcement tomorrow?
I don't think so.
BD.
I hope the rumors are true.
I hope the rumors are true that they're remaking Oblivion. Anybody know what anybody's talking about right now? Or are we all just as lost?
Dude, what is going on? So there's a rumor for Oblivion.
Yeah, there is a rumor about because the FTC documents, when they leaked, there was a bunch of games on there, and there was remakes for a couple.
Yeah, Fallout 3. Right.
No, he does say BG3. Okay, so BG3. DDP, DP, PP.
Oh,
yeah, exactly.
Xbox.
That was confusing, but I got you. Baldur's Gate. Okay, so what? So there's an announcement tomorrow, even though they just did the big patch.
Yeah, maybe it's just a Xbox release date announcement.
Yeah, I would assume. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I played it and beat it, and I don't really follow. I know the epilogue thing is awesome. I've heard that like it's a big ad, so that's cool. But watch the GPAs for Xbox launch. Yeah, Xbox launch date. I think some people were wondering if it would go to Games Pass because I was talking in voice chat with some of our Discord people. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it could, and that's great. But I think a lot of people probably found a way to play it prior to that. But Games Pass is obviously going to be awesome. That's a huge
but I feel like people would just buy it anyway.
Yeah, well, yeah, true, right? We were just talking about ownership. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's super on like demand, like especially for our Xbox players. Like once they get their hands on it, they'd definitely buy it, right? Yeah, and I'm just trying to figure out who, if like let's say the big thing is that it's on Game Pass. One of the discussions I was having in the Discord is somebody was saying, "Oh, I think it's a massive deal," and it's like it is a massive deal. It is. Like, there's no argument that that's a massive deal, but also, I do believe that it is a lesser massive deal than, let's say, if it had happened day one, or in that the number of people I know who want to play Baldur's Gate, I don't think I've ever heard anybody say, I'm waiting for the Xbox. It's possible, and somebody in chat is going to say, I've been waiting. I'm just saying up until this point, most people I know found a way to play it, including GeForce. I know 2 people who beat it on GeForce Now by buying the PC version and just playing it that way. So yeah. Hey, speaking of that, let's go. Since tomorrow is the thing, regardless if we stream it or not, any giant. I will say this: there is for sure an announcement of an Arcane game. We'll see if I'm right. I put my data out there.
Dishonored.
What big thing do we expect at the Game Awards? Is there any big announcement that you expect? Like, let's go real thoughtful process, not bullshit. Is there anything like that?
Maybe a Silk Song release date.
Silk Song. Okay. What about Moon? Is the new Hollow Knight out yet? Is the Hollow Knight sequel, or is that still an early
song?
Oh,
Hollow Knight Silk Song.
I'm glad I was thinking the same thing. Okay. All right. So there's that.
Maybe a release date for that. I'm sure there will be announcements of games we just don't even fucking know.
What about Kojima finally talking about the Xbox? No, the Xbox event or the Xbox thing.
Yeah, that was so weird. I know
it was.
I don't even know. Hopefully, I want to see something other than Death Stranding by him. Um, hopefully, I'm hoping, because listen, Death Stranding, even though I really liked it, it was a thing where you had to travel a lot and connect America.
Yeah.
I doubt the second game will just be that again, where it's just deliveries. Or I hope it'll be, and knowing Kojima could do something where maybe it's more involved, maybe it's other stuff now.
Mhm.
Now that you've connected America, a new threat or something, maybe it's like some Metal Gear stuff. I'm hoping a little bit more. I don't want to play. I mean, I liked it a lot, and I liked the message or whatever, but I don't have a desire to do it again. You know what I mean? Unless they change something, like do something completely different.
Yeah, I'd be more interested in brand new, or Kojima talking about. That was a weird announcement. It almost felt like Phil said, "Hey, dude, you're here. Let's just say we're working on. Let's make a handshake.
Yeah.
Let's say we're working on something and announce it," because there was just no data at all.
Yeah.
There was nothing.
Yeah.
What were you gonna say?
I think also, I mean, dude, PlayStation needs exclusives. I think it's been a kind of empty year-ish, not year, empty generation compared to the PS4 generation, and maybe Ghost of Tsushima too.
Yeah, I would love to see that PC announce the PC port, because we're way overdue for the PC port of Ghost. And then I did hear a rumor, or I read a rumor somewhere about a Warhammer game being exclusive to PlayStation, something based in the Warhammer world. And I'm pretty sure that's all I read. It was a post on a forum, and then I think it also got on Reddit, and I've not checked if it's debunked or whatever, but I did see that. I agree with you. It would be good. I think people expect Sony's output to be a certain thing, and we're at the end of that curve, and so it feels like they should be ready with whatever. But I also think that Sony has some issues with the service games problem that they had, where some of those that people have complained about. So I don't know what's ready and what's being delayed, and what. There were rumors that they were looking at buying games exclusivity because they did see a gap. I don't know if that's true or not, but it'll be interesting to see what they announce. I'm not really thinking the platform holders are going to show. I just personally don't know if they're going to announce anything.
What about seeing more Fable gameplay?
Yeah, Fable gameplay would be cool.
State of Decay 3.
Does PlayStation show hardware? Because they could do PlayStation Pro. That sat around in the portal. Obviously, didn't work.
Do they show hardware? And
do they show hardware at the Game Awards, or did they? I think
I don't know. E3 for sure.
Would they do their own? It would be if they were going to show the PlayStation Pro or whatever. The Game Awards would be a good place to do it.
And this would be the time to do it, right?
Yeah, it'd be the time.
Off the GTA hype.
Yep.
And people speculating about 8K 60 FPS on GTA.
I mean, remember we said GTA won't come to the Game Awards? Well, what if Sony is like not exclusive on PlayStation Pro, but what if they do show and they say that footage was on, a PlayStation Pro or whatever? I mean, they
play
can do
it better on PS Pro. Play GTA better on PS Pro.
State of Decay 3 would be nice. I think State of Decay is pretty far out.
Oh yeah, Hellblade. I want to see a Avowed release date. I don't know when it actually
would be great.
Releasing.
Yeah. They said Series X got announced at the Game Awards. I didn't remember that, but there you go.
Oh shit! Did it actually?
Well, and they've got the FTC leak on their little redo of the X, which is more just like a cosmetic. It didn't. It
cosmetic.
Had, it had some things
like an Elite.
Or a light. No, are they called light? What
Arcade.
Were they called?
Remember Xbox 360 Arcade?
Please, no. That thing sucked balls. No, the PlayStation. They do the Pros. No, not the Pros. Don't they do the light or Slim? Slim. I don't know why I was having a hard time remembering that.
Yeah. I saw someone make a better Slim than Sony. Like he made it himself. Took the parts and made it into a Slim.
Yeah, I saw that. There's a couple different channels that are trying to do that are like showing how small you could make this the PlayStation, which could be cool. I've seen people do their desks though as a PC, which is awesome.
Oh god,
dude, those are
I've
so
seen
great.
One, or like in an aquarium.
Yeah. With oil, the ones where they use oil because it's not electrically conducive, and they'll be like, let's see if we can get this
where
to
they
run.
just pour it, and I'm like, you're like looking at the. Oh man.
It gives you a sick
if you gotta
stomach.
move though, what do you do? Like,
Oh, yeah, true. Well, you're not putting fish in there, so at least you don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, that's true.
Game Pass announcement, boys. Hope great ones. Yeah, I mean, it'd be awesome to get some.
Yeah.
Oh,
I want to see more Fable.
wait.
but
There is one leak that's confused me. There
what's up?
is one that has confused me. Sarah Bond posted nothing more than the Xbox icon on her Twitter last week, and
Who's
it's
Sarah
caused
Bond?
she runs Xbox's games division, and
What? I thought
she's
it
the
was
one
Phil
that was
Spencer.
she's the one that was promoted. So Phil's the head of Xbox, not just games, but
Oh,
like the
not-
Xbox, yeah. And she posted a picture, and some people have said occasionally in the past she's posted pictures that turned out to be nothing. I don't know if those are deals that went bad or what, but it seemed like an odd thing because people were asking, does it mean backwards compatibility is coming back? Does it mean Activision stuff will be announced? Microsoft has not sold a lot of hardware. They've had a hardware drop, and admittedly, they say that's fine. You know, software's where we're at. It's like, not 100% sure. Maybe they do something like that where they're like, you know, Activision Xbox games are backwards compatible. I think we've seen most of them.
The old Call of Duty games because I want to play through campaigns without having to pay full price.
Right. And then somebody says
Right.
Sega. There is definitely something from Sega Company, but I have no.
Oh yeah, there's something new from Sega.
Yeah, there's something like supposedly big.
Sega has been killing it, man. Their games have been killing it.
Yeah, Sega. I mean, Sega isn't what they were because they're more diverse, but what they're doing right now is like obviously for them turning
Sega
out
and
to be
Capcom.
super positive. Yeah, and Capcom.
Yeah.
They've sort of.
Yeah.
I mean, I know Capcom was never bad, but Sega, I would say, was in
Yeah.
dire straits.
They were. Yeah, but now
because they're
like
Creative
Yakuza
Assembly
and-
too, right? They bought Creative Assembly to do Warhammer.
Did they?
That's Sega. Yeah.
There
Yeah.
was one other thing. Oh no, go ahead.
No, that was it. I was just
Yeah.
reiterating. Yeah. What were you gonna say?
I was thinking of a game I wanted to see and I just forgot.
Hellblade.
Hellblade.
You know what? I'm gonna go with
What's
that as
up?
my answer because I know one answer, for
Yeah.
sure, and I've already, like, I know that one. But I would say it
Yeah.
would be great to see Hellblade get a announcement of the time when it's coming out and
Yeah.
actual gameplay. I
Actual
think it's
gameplay.
time for Hellblade. Yeah, and I
Yeah.
think it would help Microsoft. It doesn't hold them to do anything. It just shows something because
Yeah.
they also want to show something because they might be nervous Sony's gonna, so they're both trying to one up each other.
Dude, I hope Hades 2 doesn't come out in early access. I hope it just comes out.
Do we not know what they're doing
I
with
don't know.
Hades? Oh,
Because Hades 1 came out in early access on Epic for a
Oh, did it?
while before it came out full release on Steam. Yeah.
dude, did you see? Not Fez, not that guy. The guy, is it Jonathan Blow? Stated he's creating a brand new game. Braid, no, the creator of Braid.
Yeah, Jonathan
Braid?
Blow.
Is that
Yeah,
Jonathan?
the
Is that
Witness.
the guy who said that?
Yeah, the bald
One
guy.
of the huge indie guys who did one of those big first, like the big. It wasn't obviously Fish because I don't think he does games at all anymore. So
Yeah.
it wasn't the Fez guy. Maybe it was the Braid guy. But somebody had stated they were making a brand new title, and I know that caught on. I just haven't. I can't remember the name of the indie guy. If you're interested
Makes
in
good
indies,
puzzles. I mean,
Did you
I like
like-
his puzzles.
Did
I like The
you?
Witness. Yeah.
I had issues with
Braid,
that one.
obviously.
The Witness puzzles just weren't super fun for me.
You know, I kind of got stale, but my favorite some of my favorite puzzles were in that game where you were in like a forest area and you had to use sound to make the puzzle. Like you'd hear like a bird chirping on a certain rhythm.
Oh, that's cool.
And I just like
And you
yeah,
have
I
to
like
match it up
those.
with that.
You had to match it. Yeah.
I had an issue with like his entire persona. So some of the
Yeah,
stuff
I
he
know.
said. I remember that guy that was streaming it, and he was like, "The error that you're seeing isn't real. It's from a pirated game." And he's like, "Here's the game." Right? It was just a disaster, and I was like, "I
Yeah,
lost touch with that
yeah,
guy. Stop following him." Was it? You do Charlie Murphy?
Oh, dude, there's
Never heard of that.
who's that studio that makes just awesome games? 18-bit studios. Those
Yeah.
guys that make all the cool strategy games and all kinds of fucking indies. I want to see that moving vehicle game. Like
Oh
it's
yeah,
been so
Pacific
long.
North, the Pacific Northwest one where they're in the car.
Yeah,
Is that the
it's
one?
like this. No, the clones.
Oh,
where there's like a bunch of clones
yeah, a
living
bunch of in the giant wheeled vehicle on
Yeah.
a planet.
Yeah, the Annexes or the Annals or something like that. They had like a family name or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
I know
they,
you had mentioned that the last podcast too, and I saw it again. This is why I continue to believe that we're being listened to, because I swear to God, it wasn't one day after you mentioned that game, I saw like 2, articles about it. And by the way, I'm not saying people in this time.
Sure.
I'm saying AI or, my system. Something was yeah, dude, it was ridiculous because I hadn't seen shit. And then it was just like, boop, the moment you mentioned it. That'll be it for us.
And the Thaumaturge. Sorry, but yeah, that's
Thaumaturge. That'll be it for us. Thank you, everybody. It's called The Altars. Saint of Sanguine says. Thank you for watching. If you get a chance, check out the Patreon. It does help. I try to save you money. We have a good Discord. I would love for you to jump in. It's just me running the place. I'm not a person, not like 15 dudes. So any little bit helps. That'll be it for us. You will see more videos from me next week. I'm going to look at the Rogue Trader situation today and the hardware there. But I think we covered it if I don't get a chance. It's unfortunate, but I'll try to figure that out. That's it. We'll try to announce tomorrow if I'm streaming or not. I think I'm going to wait till tomorrow to decide. That's it.
Yeah, and I'll be here whether you do or not.
All righty. Peace out, everybody, and enjoy the rest of your week.